art of breaking free from the confines of reality. When the raven cries, millions of wings will tear the night apart.
Claire, time to escort the raven.
The time has come. Do you read poetry, my friend? For it tells us not what has happened, but what is going to happen.
The mission is to rescue an inmate with intel on Skynet, so why start a riot?
Don't look at me, mate. I was working on the toilet.
Just go on. Track him down and contact Zoya.
A divine messenger has guided me to your rescue. You are free.
No. Firstly, it wasn't a divine messenger. Just a little birdie. Secondly, I've always been free. You're the ones trapped in order.
Inmates have taken the control room and activated tidal defense system.
It's all part of this madman's plan!
That guy doesn't look like he's asking for help.
Zoya was tricked by a birdie.
The guests have arrived. Now let the chaos thicken! Then, Mythor. The air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen sensor, swung by angels whose faint footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor.
GTI. Watch out! There's hallucinogens in the smoke!
Luna!
Luna?
Wretch, I cried. These forces lent thee by these spirits it had sent thee.
No!
Quoth the raven, nevermore. Don't. They'll feel the blade of betrayal pierce their hearts just as I have.
Tidal lock defense protocol fully engaged. Area is on the brink of complete
I don't know what's
submersion.
going on between you two, but we gotta pull out. Now!
Order, the formula of fate. With chaos, fate writing poetry.
has brought about the dawn of a new age. But now, my friends, insatiable tumor has descended upon this land. plundering our homes, harming our families, and threatening the bright future of Asarak. For too long they have gone unchallenged, and they have infested the very core of our society. We must drive these rats out. Now is the time for change. Now is the time for judgment.
Let me detect first.
Welcome to the asylum! From madness to freedom!
Stay on high alert. Don't let Havoc's lackeys escape.
Greetings, operators. Get ready for the Delta Force break season. We're talking fresh maps, new operators, and game modes that'll totally change how you play. First up, let's dive into the new maps. This season, we're dropping you onto a tropical island with stunning blue waters, clear skies, and perfect weather. Don't let the scenery fool you, though. Havok has already taken over the Intercontinental Missile Launch Base here. You'll need to use the vast surrounding waters to your advantage, launching amphibious assaults from land, sea, and air. And hey, diving underwater isn't just for dodging bullets. It's perfect for flanking enemies and pulling off surprise attacks. Just a heads up, Havok might deploy weather weapons. This means the area could turn into a cyclone at any moment. So make sure all operators are prepped for combat in extreme weather conditions. On top of that, Victory Unite mode in the new season will feature a dedicated management panel for commanders. This panel consolidates all commander abilities, replacing the old, larger map interface, making it much easier to issue orders. Plus, there's a new commander ability called Call and Attack, Urgent Deployment. This bad boy can drastically cut down friendly respawn times for a short period, helping your squad quickly rebuild offensive or defensive lines. To keep operators agile during amphibious operations, the new season lets you pilot jet skis. Use them to zip around the battlefield and reposition quickly. After this season's update, engineers will find a new class gadget, the wire-guided missile launcher. Now infantry can use it to remotely control and hit targets. In Operations Mode this season, we're dropping a brand new map, Tide Prison. Available only on PC. Your goal, break out as fast as possible, explore every nook and cranny of the prison, and make a successful extraction. That's the ultimate objective. When you first land in the prison, you'll be rocking a prison uniform and limited to throwing punches. But don't sweat it. Follow the guidance and you'll quickly recover your gear, complete the jailbreak, and start scavenging for supplies. Beyond the way we showed you, there are a bunch of other jailbreak methods just waiting for you to find. While exploring underwater in Tide Prison, you might stumble upon a new container, the DF Clam. If luck's on your side, you could even get the prison's exclusive, super valuable red item, Tears of Ocean. In the maximum security block, operators might randomly receive a flagship task called Operation Floodline. Respond to these emergencies and complete the operation within the time limit to grab the valuable data that's in the hanging cell. This prison isn't just for new operators, it's also home to a lot of locals, including Raven, the beloved son of the former Asara king. He wields a .357 Zephyr revolver pistol, and when he unleashes a flurry of shots, he'll knock down any operator in his line of sight. Seriously, don't go near his smoke grenades. Touching the smoke will immediately give you hallucinogenic effects that mess with your vision. And whatever you do, avoid melee combat with him, or you will be executed. Also, don't ignore his guards. These Asara death row inmates pack a punch with both ranged and powerful melee weapons. Trying to save ammo against them is a bad idea. If you see other prisoners bursting out of their cells or even duking out with guards, it means a prison riot is going down, and Raven is roaming around somewhere. He's also left some gifts hidden in the prison. Open them up for a surprise. And speaking of jailbreak, how could we forget those iconic scenes everyone loves? If you can, pick your favorite way to extract from Tide Prison. The new season is packed with even more fresh content going live. Ready for a wave of upcoming summer events? From July 9th to August 7th, a brand new event pass kicks off. Play matches across both modes to rack up playtime and claim the SB98 Forest Hunter appearance, plus 20 armament voucher draws. Starting in the second week after the event opens, accelerated quests will also be open to help operators complete them faster. At the same time, special secret protocol crates will appear in the Zero Dam map in Operations, with a new secret protocol crate added in a new location each week. On normal difficulty, an additional secret protocol crate will be added. Find them and successfully extract to obtain weapon appearances. In Operations and Warfare matches, find and extract with the secret protocol crate added in the final week to not only unlock early access to the new KC-17 assault rifle, but also the KC-17 Line of Glory weapon appearance. The KC-17 assault rifle will officially go live in the mid-season update. There's also a new Cold Warrior compound bow that will go live simultaneously at the start of the new season, and I'm sure you can't wait to use it to capture prey on the battlefield. In this season, an assault operator from Hoft is about to join the fight, Claire Ann Byers, codenamed Tempest. After an accidental injury, she went through Hoft's medical experience and had an auxiliary surge spine surgically installed. This allows her to use electrical currents to boost her core muscles, fully unleashing her athletic abilities for rapid rolling and finding opportunities to kill enemies in the crossfire. Tempest's throwable drill charge unleashes powerful electrical currents that will knock weapons from enemies' hands and briefly paralyze them. The emergency evasion device on her waist, when activated, shoots out a safety rope that latches onto an anchor point. If Tempest hits the device again or takes fatal damage, she'll be yanked back to that anchor spot. In Operations, she can even self-revive once if she's down. Overall, Tempest is going to be an excellent pioneer for any team, helping gather enemy information and cutting down on casualty risks. We're confident she'll do great when she joins GTI. As demonstrated earlier, the new season adds a swimming system. Sprint swimming is faster, but consumes stamina and accelerates oxygen consumption, requiring timely servicing. Note that when operators are at the water surface, weapons can fire normally and items can be used normally. Underwater, there are restrictions. Ammo experiences very rapid damage fall-off after entering water, so if you're shot while underwater, it's best to dive deeper. In the new season, operators can find the collection room in the black site, where you can store and showcase the major red collections you've obtained. Upgrade the collection room to unlock more display wall effects. The new season is also bringing a ton of fresh appearances. The new season's Mandlebrick features 2 gold weapon appearances. The AUG Assault Rifle Meteorology
The conduction coil is on our systems. Sync module.
and the CI-19 Meteorology.
This is not a toy, soldier.
These come with 4 unique weather-changing inspection effects on the weapon itself, evolving kill effects, plus tracer rounds and voice broadcast.
Correct it.
Additionally, the store will launch the De Mulan's Edge bundle. This pack includes the gold melee weapon Switchblade, De Mulan's Edge, along with various weapon appearances, charms, avatars, calling cards, and other ways to personalize your gear. Weapon charms are getting a brand new Asara theme, Asara Guard soldier figures. Collect the complete set, and the charms will actually glow on their own. When your weapons fire, you'll even see cool burn effects. Make sure to grab them in the new season. Meanwhile, the Delta Force and Arknights collab is just about to launch. If you're an Arknights fan, you definitely don't want to miss it. That's all the exciting content coming in the Break New Season update. Break free from your cage and escape to freedom on July 9th.
Well, good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome back to another Delta Force Elite Invitational. This is our North American region, and I am so excited to get back into the games today, as per the usual. I'm still Goj, and I always will be Goj, and I'm your host and caster today. Really excited to be back for another Delta Force broadcast. I've got to bring in a good friend of mine back again, back-to-back shows today. My man, Dandro. Welcome back to the booth. First time casting Delta Force earlier today. Absolutely crushed it. Excited to be back for North America?
Very, very excited to be back. Somebody in the chat said earlier our shirts should be red items in the game, and I tend to agree with them, my friend. I think you'd look pretty stylish with one of these on the map. But no, yeah, we had EU earlier in the day. It was the first show. Love what we were able to get on into. Lots of action. I think some of the changes to the format since sort of last week with the league that we had going on really spiced things up. It forced players to get a little bit more active. We had the show end in 4 games in EU, and it just has me wondering here, Goj, how many games are we going to go in NA? Because historically, it's always been 6. But hey, maybe somebody can surprise us.
I'm excited to see what happens. I think some of these teams, much like in the European region, have been studying this concept, this brand new format, and I'm excited to talk about it. Let's break it all down for those at home that maybe didn't watch the Delta Force Global League, or even if you did watch it, there are some changes. So first and foremost, 6 invited teams of 3. That's 6 teams of 3 players, 18 players on the map. Now, we are playing anywhere between 4 to 6 maps. I'll tell you how in just a little bit, but here's our maps that we'll be playing. It is different from the Delta Force Global League because we have Zero Dam only one time, and it's our very first map of the day. Then we'll go to Brackish twice, and then Space City up to 3 times in a row. Now, in terms of our format, every player is given 1 million in Technic Alloy on this brand new account to play with. They can build out their kits, they can do what they want, buy all their stuff. Now, the difference, though, about traditional customs we've done in the past is that if you die, you lose all your stuff, just like our public matches. And you get some rewards for getting kills. So whatever you loot, you get to keep, plus 300,000 Technic Alloy per kill, which is really exciting stuff. Now, all of our players, our teams, are going to be ranked in order of total loot value, except there's one exception to that rule: Mandlebricks. If your team has a Mandlebrick, that's our priority ranking metric. Therefore, if you've got a Mandlebrick, but you only have one Technic alloy in all of your players' combined wealth, it doesn't matter. You're still going to be at the top of the leaderboard, and then everybody that has a Mandlebrick ranked accordingly based on loot value. However, there's also another cool rule with this double brick format, where if your team captures 2 bricks at any point in this competition, you win the whole competition. It happened in Europe in Game 4, because as you can see there, towards the end of our format graphic, Mandlebricks spawn in rounds 2, 4, 5, and 6. So in our European region, we had a team capture the Mandlebrick in round 2, and the same team capture the Mandlebrick in round 4, therefore winning the whole tournament. One more unique rule with this brand new format is that every operator in the game can be used besides Tempest, but they can only be used twice in total by your team throughout the entire course of this competition. So a fun rule, a way to shake things up. People got to think on their feet, try out new comps. It's really, really dang cool. But Dandro, we're playing for a lot of cash today. Walk me through this prize pool.
Yeah, we have $10,000 on the line. First place walking away with $4,000. Second place, $2,500. Third place, $1,500. Fourth place, $1,000. And well, if you're either in 5th or 6th place at the end of the day, you won't be going home empty-handed. It's going to be $500 each. Really fun to see this sort of split. We saw it earlier in EU, where one team, like Doge mentioned, was able to kind of lock down both Mandlebricks in games 2 and 4. And the second place team, they basically had that locked up after game number 2. So $2,500 going home to them. And that's what I'm really excited about with this split, is that even if you do have a team who catches both Mandlebricks, very early on, you still have an opportunity to walk away with some very serious cash for one of these squads in second place.
Yeah, a lot of cash on the line, and excited to see who does take it home. Like you said, everybody making some money, but the teams at the top making a ton. So let's talk about these teams. 6 trios of 3 players each. I'm pumped about these squads. There is a bunch to talk about with these teams, but Dandro, I got to throw it back to you. Who do you got your eyes on? Who do you think may be one of our top teams today? Me and you were dead on in Europe.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can double down and do it in North America.
Yeah, I think one team that I'm really looking forward to is this Team Forbidden roster, right? With January Spades and Rogue Pringle, I think this is going to be a very interesting team to watch. They are no strangers to Delta Force or Delta Force esports and competition, right? They know what it's like to play in this type of event. They understand the difference between this format and then necessarily just going on in pubs. And we also saw, another squad that was also kind of breaking down all of their strats as well, where we get to see some of their Discord chats in the background here. And it's going to be Team Gorilla as well. And I think that we should keep our eye on them, because they were breaking down all of the operators per map. What do they want to do? What's the strategy? And if there's anything we saw from EU earlier that we heard from some of the players, then it's that having that strategy locked on out early was really the key to success.
Yeah, and I think that's a great shout. This is a really good team. There's a couple of really strong teams as well. Team Gorilla, I know that a lot of folks are going to be cheering them on today. North American streamers, great players, all have a history in this title for a very long time, basically ever since it launched. And we've seen Gorilla and Sammy Meadows in particular play this game a ton and play in these competitions all the time, and so I expect them to do pretty well today. And then I've got to shout out my boys, Team It's Nowhere. They've competed in the Delta Force Global League for the last 3 seasons with a varying degree of rosters, with some of these players swapping a couple out. They actually got second in the Delta Force Global League Season 2 just a week ago, with January from Team Forbidden instead of Sing Song. But Sing Song also played in the Delta Force Global League on a different team. So some roster changes. It's going to be really fun to watch them today. I think they're going to be perfecting their craft. I think their team, Team Forbidden, Gorilla, probably the 3 teams to beat. But here's the thing. I can talk about all of these squads because Team Nicholas as well. Nicholas was a finalist, actually won the Delta Force Global League first season a while back. And so absolutely this team could make some waves in this brand new format. Team J Device they just won a show match like a week and a half ago. I mean, all of these teams have wins under their belts, and we could talk about them for a while because, Dan, I think any of them could win today. It's just about execution.
Yeah, no, and I think you hit it right on the head. It's about understanding the goal here in between map to map to map, because it's not just going to be about doing the same thing in every map that we have, because our format has lent itself to where you have to be good and you have to have a good strategy depending on whether it's a Mandlebrick round or whether it's not a Mandlebrick round. So I don't know, maybe we could go to the maps right now to kind of break down what that looks like, because we're kickstarting it here, Goj, with Zero Dam, right? And what we saw there in at least EU earlier on was that a lot of teams use this Zero Dam map just as to kind of kickstart their game, because they understood that going into brackish and map number 2 with that Mandlebrick, that they had to have some good loadouts if they wanted to be competitive. So I'm very curious to see with some of our teams who have vast amount of experience, when we get ready to head into Zero Dam, do they get aggressive early, or do they kind of maybe go for that, hey, let's get some gear and hit an early evac onto the map?
Yeah, and here's our map rotation. Like Dan was talking about, we go Zero Dam, and then we go to Brackish twice, and then potentially Space City 3 times in a row if we go all the way to the finish line in map number 6. The maximum we'll play is 6 maps, but like we said before, it could be 4. And you can see which maps have the Mandlebrick rounds. But starting in Zero Dam, Dan, you were just talking about it. I want to keep talking about it while we're getting this map ready. 16 minutes on the clock in Zero Dam. It is so incredibly fast. And folks at home, the format is a lot, but it's really dang cool. So if you've got questions, let us know. 16 minutes on Zero Dam, 20 minutes on Brackish and Space City. This Zero Dam map is fast paced. Admin's gonna be a hot piece of action real fast. And there's almost always a team that's going to camp that damn extract. So early rotations usually getting paid here as well. But Dan, I think one thing we saw in the European region in particular was some early fights. And then you were talking about a moment ago, and I want to expand on this. Talk to me about those airdrops. I mean, this was a key factor in Europe. And one of the reasons some of the teams last event just had so much success. These airdrops are everything, and they only drop in game 1 and game 3, the games that we don't have Mandlebricks.
Yeah, and that was one thing that we saw earlier, was that the team that really prioritized the airdrop seemingly just felt like they did really well. Now, there was a little bit of a mix-up early on. They picked up that AWM with all of the ammo, and they were just shy of being able to extract with it. But either way, they still had a lot of valuable loot to their name. So what we saw in that sort of first game earlier on was that, yes, the airdrop comes on in, it grabs a couple of players' attention to come on through. We can almost use it as bait as well, right? So you can kind of go ahead, play around that. Just because we don't have a Mandlebrick, it gives you another sort of position around the map. You can go ahead and try and lock on in. I'll also be curious to see if anybody takes sort of the playbook out of Tazen earlier, who basically just set up camp at that admin extract and just waited for a team to try and come on through. It was a clean wipe, and then they were able to grab all their gear and then just go ahead and hit the extract. Now, obviously, at the end of the day, it didn't really work out too well for them because of their later games, but I liked what I saw in game number 1, and I hope somebody does something in the same here on Zero Dam in North America. So it's going to be sort of this push and pull between, where do you go for this extract? Are you going to try and go for those airdrops that we have, get that valuable loot, try and get on out of there? We see some teams kind of load up one player in Zero Dam, send them on out, try and get an early access, and then let the other two just try and maybe rain chaos or try and play spoiler to some of the other teams that are there as well. Could see some nice early rotations, could see some people moving around the map, just trying to hold on out some of the other teams.
Yeah, I love that breakdown. Zero Dam is going to be a lot of fun, and it'll be very cool to see what these teams do. As per the usual, first map is a litmus test. Let's see how fast people get into the action, or maybe they play a little bit slower and try to let the action come to them. A lot to talk about. Let's briefly, I think our game's about to get started, but before we launch it, I think a couple players are just finishing up on their kits, because as a reminder, they're given 1 million Technic Alloy and they have to build from scratch whatever they want to bring in. In this first round, the max ammo that they will be allowed to buy is blue ammo. So you're going to be seeing tier 3 ammo only across the board from everybody. So some of these fights may be a bit more extended than you're used to. You're not seeing any reds. You could see some tier 4 armor from some of these folks, depending on how much money they want to use to start things off. But excited to see what they do. Let's talk a little bit about our operator rotations, maybe that we saw in Europe, or some of the operators that we just saw being used early. Dan, talk to me about what you saw in Europe and maybe what you expect from North America.
Yeah, I think one thing that was really interesting that we watched from our champions team, Stickinson, was basically the investment of that Stinger very early on. This is an operator that normally you see people like to hold on to for the Mandlebrick rounds, just because obviously when you know you're going to be getting mixy, you know when it's going to be chaotic and hectic, you want that additional healing, you want that support on your team, not to mention the smoke screens that operator comes with to really block line of sights. We watched them use that to be able to capture the Mandlebrick, but also kind of clear their exit as they tried to run away to one of the decoder stations. But what they did do is that early on in game number 1, they really used that to just be aggressive on the map. just trying to be able to take that fight. They were no stranger to kind of be able to go and take a fight against 2 or 3 different teams. We watched them get a nice, quick, easy 3-piece, and then they basically sandwich another team, and then they continue to get that fight all the way to the very end. And that was something I think that was really, really fun to watch, was basically understanding that, like, hey, we can use this operator earlier on to kind of set ourselves up, because we understand that we didn't have to use some of the other ones in those Mandlebrick rounds that we come on through. So they were very, very good at holding on to what operators they needed. So I'll be curious to see, does anybody try and make a similar strat? We also saw a couple other teams in EU really do some early investments with the Luna and Hacklaw as well, those recon operators. And so sometimes those will help them play a little bit safer, even in some of our non-Mandlebrick rounds. So we could even see that here in game number 1.
Yeah, it is a fun conversation. We saw some really cool plays from operators you don't oftentimes see in operations. Saniva, some riot shield plays were wild. The grappling gun to pull somebody to you, to beat them down with a shield, being able to be the first entry man, to be able to peek angles and not risk immediately getting fried. Saniva operators being a little bit more valuable in this format. But yeah, it'll be really, I'll be curious, because I think you broke it down beautifully. And as per the usual, it's kind of like these teams can decide whatever they want, whatever they think works best for them. Do you burn your Luna and Stinger operators early? Do you save them for later? Do you need the smokes for rotations? Do you need your recon operators? The answer is yes. But when do you want to use them? Because I think both of those strategies around when to use those operators that you were breaking down, Dan, worked last time. You know, one thing we saw was Adderson's team in EU. They burned some of the most high value operators early, but got an early lead in those loot patterns. I mean, they were way up in total loot early because they were burning some of those favorites. And I'm not going to spoil any of our team's strategies. I've been seeing their chats light up, which is really fun to take a look at, because you can tell that they care and are really thinking, because when you only can use Luna twice, for instance, over the course of maybe 6 games, that's a lot of information you're going to be missing out in some of those later rounds if you burn Luna early. Same with Viren for the outplay potential, right? That knockdown is unbelievably strong. Obviously, the boost to get around the corners, magnetic bombs, a great operator for very aggressive gameplay.
Yes.
But a lot of folks, Dan, really liked Viren in Zero Dam because of the map and how fast it does play. You need somebody that is a little bit more aggressive. That assault operator, really valuable. Same thing we saw with D-Wolf with the triple blaster.
Yeah, we saw, I think, a really good use of some of the assault operators. And another one that really kind of surprised me was obviously Toxic getting invested pretty early on as well. I think that flashbang sort of being able to come on through, you know, the little flash UAV that she's able to throw on out, caught a lot of people by surprise in some of those early fights. And then alongside, obviously, having that Dragonfly Swarm to be able to kind of use, kind of boost your allies and make them, you know, be able to have a little bit better time in some of those fights. I think we saw people realizing that maybe Zero Dam, just because of some of the incentives that we have, was going to be a little bit mixier, and that, yes, maybe we didn't have to invest the full, you know, kind of having a Stinger early on, still having that operator that can buff your entire team, that can kind of set you up for success for some of these maps that may kind of have enforced some fights early on would be really, really nice. So I like that we're seeing players kind of go through that. Maybe here in map number 1, they're realizing, hey, we're gonna have to fight just a little bit more because of that airdrop, because of how close the spawns are, because of just how much that we want to try and get that additional 300,000 Technic Alloy per elimination that you're gonna try and have to maybe set yourself up for this first Mandlebrick round in map number 2 on Brackage.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really fun to watch these teams strategize for that Mandlebrick round, because the loot value that you grab in this first round is everything. You can bring in some better gear like you're talking about. It's a key factor to this competition. So don't discount the rounds where you don't get Mandlebricks. To recap a little bit, a game's about to get started. This is not a Delta Force podcast. This is a big competition. Don't worry. But we could have one, Dan, because the nuance to this new competitive format is so interesting. To recap a little bit from that European region, Stickinson's team was the champion, and it was namely because they had great strategy and they knew what they were doing, they prepped. But, I mean, in map 3, they crushed the competition and picked up the AWM from that drop, that airdrop, which then gave them the opportunity to use AWM in the Mandlebrick round in game 4, which was obviously crazy value for their team, being able to hold angles. So don't discount these rounds where you can get extra loot, maybe an AWM from the airdrop or other things, because it will set you up for those other games, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, and they also had 2 players who just went absolutely nuclear in both Mandlebrick rounds, right? We had Kaiser in sort of map 2, to quote Starbaxer, absolute cinema, and we agreed. It was just some fantastic plays. It just kind of goes to show you where even if you lose some of your teammates in these rounds, guess what? you can still make plays as a solo. So don't get down on yourself. If you all of a sudden go into a fight and only one player is able to get away, a lot can still happen. So to get ready to head on in here into Zero Dam, I mean, man, you just have to kind of play together as a unit, figure out where you want to try and play around this map. Are you going to be one of these teams that tries to really kind of heavily contest admin, or do you want to go through that substation, maybe make a late rotation in through the tunnels? We'll have to wait and see. But here we go. Delta Force Elite Invitational North America starts now.
Let's get it. Here's a quick look at those spawn points, by the way, and it looks like it's going to be Team Nowhere and I believe Tech's team starting around admin. It's going to be white and yellow on your screen, likely our first engagement, depending on how aggressive they get. You've got that Sammy squad down at the bottom. That's Team Gorilla in the green that is starting in Visitor Center. Whereas you've got that Nicholas team over in Cement Plant. So I expect to see Nowhere Squad and Tech Squad fight first in admin. We could see some of these other players come through to some of the underground tunnels and get involved. We've seen that multiple times in the past. Likely first to admin, though, aside from those two, I think it's got to be our team in the pink. But we'll see. That's going to be Forbidden Esports.
Pretty early on. Okay. We already can see Looter Boy. He's finding some stuff already. Nice little $197,000 loot find. One thing that we saw earlier was just some very quick, high-value loot for a number of teams, like early on in the map. And I think it kind of spooked them a little bit. They didn't want to have to kind of get too aggro too early on because they wanted to hold on to that. Obviously, our players, they can use their safe box, so anything they find that can fit in there in that nice little 3x3 in their inventory will be okay. They can bring that on out. No problems there. So if you're managing to find some of this high value loot early, you can throw it in your safe box. And the next thing you know, all right, you're starting to feel pretty good about round number one.
Yeah, great breakdown. It's worth mentioning that we do have a new overlay. If you didn't watch our European region, I'm loving our new observer system, seeing some solid loot here for some of our players. But you can tell when we are following along with these players, you can see what type of ammo they're running. You can see the tier of their gear. We're seeing Sing Song there in tier 4 gear in purple. So looking pretty strong thus far. You do see the assets obtained there on the left-hand side already. Gorilla's team off to a great looting pattern thus far. Team Gorilla, again, I believe was in Visitor Center. Apparently finding Visitor Center fairly valuable, which is nice.
Yeah. That's kind of our fun little thing. We can kind of flip back and forth between the, assets obtained overall and then also just within this map. It's a fun little thing to keep on our eye on. But for the time being, we see some warning shots maybe sent out over the way. Already an early Saniva from Nowhere. We saw how absolutely critical this shield can be. And it felt like right there maybe was kind of pulling in the ire of a Team Tech from across the way. A nice little nade is going to deal a lot of damage. It's going to force them to back on up, burn some of those early consumables. But I don't think it has to be anything just yet.
Yeah, this is one of those fights that could take a very long time. The first fight of the North American region. And that's what makes it so dang exciting. Who's going to scam first, as we were talking about in Europe? Who's going to make the first mistake and who can capitalize on it? And we'll say you can get a little bit more risky when you've got a Saniva in the mix. So my eyes are on that Nowhere team.
And look at this Team Tech right here. I mean, they've already invested the Hacklaw and the Stinger into this first round alongside the D-Wolf. So it's something we were talking about, right? Normally we like to see people save the Stinger, the Recon, sort of operators until that Mandlebrick round. They're going to go ahead and burn one usage on both here in game number one. So I'd be pretty successful earlier on in EU, so I don't hate it as long as you have a strategy to back it up and you're not just like randomly going to head to, try and pick it up here. So I think that if they want to try and be this team to take an early engagement here in admin, this is a great comp that you love to see them be able to try and maybe get these fights over and done with very quickly.
Nowhere just playing front man information gathering by standing in the hallway, which honestly, respect. It's one way to do it.
Stand and bang, baby. Like, come on.
Yeah. Ready for it.
Needed for the operation.
See our extraction timers, top, middle as well, over by the mini map. Our overall game timer has moved. I'm sure you've seen it thus far, but at the top, middle of your screen. Here's the first fight. In the back of Nowhere. Ninja Turtle style. Oh, come over here. One drop, able to play flank here. Sing Song also dropped. They've traded one out and on a yellow timer for Sing Song. No full trades to the side of Tech. And right now, Nowhere's having to back up and get ready for the nenext fight, as it is Cynical, the last remaining player alive for his team. They have player advantage. They've got to play this. Can't see because of the smoke, but doesn't matter. Byron comes flying in. The hip shots almost connect to a point of where they win that, but it is a full wipe on Team Tech, but a great fight nonetheless.
Yeah, really solid opening there. And that's where, you know, I think a lot of players, they think of Suniva and they say, yeah, we just love using this operator for exactly what we saw, which was, yeah, you have the shield. You can kind of take some ground with it. Everybody forgets about that hook claw, baby. And we see it just come in clutch there. Absolutely pulls them on in. Hook, line, and sinker. Rails them on in. Biggest fish in the lobby for sure. Brings them on in and is able just to kind of very quickly turn that into a 3v2. And I got to give a huge shout out to the Viren as well for just the full fly on in. So yeah, double assault operators here alongside the Suniva kind of goes to show that might be a nice little comp that you can run here in maybe some of these non-Mandlebrick rounds just to kind of ensure your ability to take these fights.
Yeah, it's a perfect team fight comp, especially indoors like that. I mean, they can't go anywhere, right? You're able to auto trade one. And frankly, I thought Tech actually played that pretty well. We're able to get a trade and almost could have gotten the two-piece there if a couple more hip shots would have connected. Could have been a 1v1 and could have maybe played that wall. But regardless, Tech will head back to the lobby and think about their life decisions of not picking Suniva first, I suppose. And who knows, maybe it'll come back to help them later to have Suniva in the later rounds. But looking at the map, it does look like Jade of Eyes has gone to scrap up the visitor center if he can find any loot there. Whereas the rest of Team Gorilla, that's going to be TG, over there in green, could be swinging back to their spawn start and think about, hey, I think we heard somebody over here.
I mean, it is just Jade of Eyes, unfortunately, as a solo in this game. So, yeah, I mean, you love to get maybe a nice little free 300K, but I don't know how much time you necessarily need to go ahead and invest with it. I think the better idea is, hey, go towards that airdrop that you are 2 feet away from. Nothing you have to worry about those. I'm seeing some slight movement, of course, from the other two teams kind of moving on over. You can see Forbidden, they're trying to be able to get there. Nicholas is trying to maybe flirt with going over towards that airdrop as well, but it does look like Team Gorilla, they might be the first ones to it. We talked about that AWM. We talked about how important it would be to maybe try and get into that area just to try and manage to grab it and, you know, get on out of there. So maybe they can go ahead and snag that and get on out of here on map number 1 with some very solid loot.
Nice. January finds the fossil, 347K. Well played. Pretty good loot across the board. Dang, yeah, we're finding some great stuff. Already found a graphics card as well. Good loot out of the airdrop for the first time around. And again, it looks, oh, it does look like you're right. Forbidden Gaming is actually going to take a glance at this airdrop. It's already been looted, though, by Team Gorilla. So a couple shots come through, but they're pretty much kitted up with great loot. I mean, if you're nowhere in Gorilla, again, this is a non-Mandlebrick round. Your goal, sure, to kill other people and make sure that they lose a bunch of resources that they brought in. But your goal here really is to loot up so your next couple rounds are extremely valuable and you can bring in better loot than your opponents. And right now, Team Nowhere and Team Gorilla are doing exactly that. So I think if I'm either of them, I'm getting out of Dodge if I can. And I think I want to say Nowhere squad is actually going to be up on that damn extract right now, potentially going out the north side, whereas this squad's maybe going to go out the south side if they can.
Still have a decent amount of time, though. You could maybe try and camp this, I guess, if you really wanted to. Just to try and maybe if you're feeling good about your gunfights, if you're feeling good about what you have on your loadout. I am just kind of looking around, and I am seeing a lot of like blues and whites, though, on maybe some of the armor and helmets. So that could have been the strategy, right? Come on in with not like anything super crazy when it comes to armor and just say, hey, you know, we're going to get what we can and get on out. So that way in the next round, hey, we're kind of minimizing our chances of getting deleted. And I love what Nowhere is doing right here. They've decided exactly what you mentioned. They want to go ahead, hit this extract, just hold it on in. And it's just really the top part about this extract is that it's just basically, it feels like a 300 scenario where you are just trying to funnel everybody in to those moments and then just trying to wipe them as they're trying to maybe stop you from extracting.
Yeah, a great breakdown of that damn extract. And while you're talking about it, the second airdrop had landed, and guess who's got the AWM? My man, January on your screen right now. They hit the second one, and it's, you know, so funny. I mean, it's a little bit of luck of the draw whether it comes into that airdrop or not. The first airdrop, it is Team Gorilla that is able to grab all of the loot. It's a ton of loot, some reds, some golds, graphics card. It's over 300K. Like, they've got great loot. By the way, Nowhere's team getting out for free. Nobody's going to come contest them here. So bye-bye, 4.5 mil, a great map. But Jan's team, not as much value in that airdrop in terms of raw numbers, but I'll take an AWM with about 20 rounds every day of the week, especially going into a Mandlebrick round next. We know how valuable it has been in Europe. I can only assume it's going to be valuable again in this one.
Yeah, I'm just trying to keep a look a little bit at their loadouts thus far, and it looks like they brought in some pretty, I would say, standard things, right? You see purple helmet and armor right here for January, so spent a little bit of cash, right, in order to be able to have that, but nothing, I think, extraordinary to make it happen. But already some pot shots going on out. But of course, I believe that's Team Nicholas across the way. They're going to go ahead back on up. Just kind of play around here. You can see Team Gorilla on the other side. They probably hear some of those shots going on as well. And they're starting to lurk on the outside.
Yeah, it looks like Team Gorilla was maybe going to try to contest against that forbidden team. But actually lurking behind them is this Nicholas squad. Nicholas could come through and maybe play flank here if this Gorilla squad does get active. A third-party pinch could ruin this great Gorilla game we've had thus far. But I think some people at home maybe are like, oh, you've got the AWM, take your fights. But you got to remember, next round is a Mandlebrick round. You've got to get out of this map with that AWM. You can't carry the ammo in your safe box. It doesn't allow you to do that in our customs mode, so that it's really risky. And I'll come back to that later because Sammy Sucks is getting mixy. Finds Jay Devise, who unfortunately had to play first map as a solo. Should have some teammates in the next one. And so Jay Devise out of here in the first map with basically nothing to write home about. But even still, it's another 300K going to that Sammy team, Team Gorilla. They've technically taken the top of the leaderboard here, Dan.
Yeah, I like what you were saying about Team Forbidden and with the AWM and just being able to say, you know, oh yeah, you probably should take some fights here while you have it. And I'm totally on board with you. Save this for the Mandlebricks round, man. We watched how absolutely impactful this weapon could be. And while, yeah, you're getting 300K as long as you can get that full on these players, it's just kind of like, okay, I would much rather you be able to use that to get the 300K and also potentially an early Mandlebrick in map number 2. So I like that they're being a little bit cautious. You heard some of those shots going out, and I think they realize this might be their opportunity to start moving here and maybe go for one of these extracts. But it looks like for Team Gorilla, I saw them pick up a pretty high value item on the other side, and they're off some quick movement as well. I think as we get to the final moments of this first map number 1, I think the teams are pretty happy with what they've been able to grab. A couple squads getting eliminated. No worries. We're seeing some high value loot in that player's inventory for sure. And I love that. Go. Do you want to know why? Because I'm seeing a white helmet and a blue shield. So that means you came in with minimal and you're about to go out with a lot.
Yeah, it's a really good shot on Sammy Suck's kit right there. He's really not fit for combat. Finding a cloud array is humongous. And speaking of humongous, hey, welcome to the party. Woo! Spades hits his shots. And there's a quick 1-2 on the blue team. Nicholas, team in trouble. 2 full down. Where is their third? Only God knows. He's certainly not here and is not coming back.
Yeah, go ahead. You have the smokes. Invest it. Try and do some of this loot up. See if there's anything, you want to go ahead and grab from that player you just went and knocked. But more importantly to me, not only do you get obviously this gear, but quick little extra 600 Technic Alloy you are adding to your team. Not too bad. And you can see Kunji there, going to be the last player alive for Team Nicholas. And well, just got to kind of run with your tail between your legs and maybe try and get away.
Oh, that's exactly right. Run for the hills, my friend, is definitely the right play. Going to go out or extract here on the crest and just get out of dodge. I think it's the right play, especially if he's got some loot on him. I'm not sure how much he's got. 500,000, not great, but we'll take it.
Yeah.
Definitely could be worse. It does look like, Dan, that I think overall they're at 1.1 mil, which means his 2 teammates at least had decent loot in their safe boxes, I assume. All right, well, we are, especially it feels like we just got started on Zero Jam. That is the nature of the game here, folks. We've got a minute and 25 seconds to get out of this map. I don't know what we're standing around doing here. Maybe They might be, I want to say they might be swinging up to the no backpack extract. But let's see what they decide to do. I need to double check. It does look like Nicholas is going to get out with at least some stuff. This is Kunji on that Nicholas team. So congrats to him, at least for getting out with something. That's better than some teams could say.
True. I mean, he's at least able to get out more than a whole team of 3 that we just watched happen. So, yeah, even though both of your teammates did go down, like you mentioned, at least you'll get out with something. Well, granted, it's only, 164,000 over the whole team of 3 that got wiped at the beginning. So, nominal gains that are there. But 40 seconds remaining here, Goj. I'm not seeing them really be anywhere close to a extraction point. What's the game plan going on right now?
Yeah, it looks like a no backpack place. I think they were thinking, hey, I might be able to make it, but I think as they started running, they go, never mind. So they are just stacking safe boxes, trying to put whatever they can in those safe boxes to take those home. That does mean, by the way, if none of these 3 players get out, which January might be the only one that's going to be somewhat close. No, he will not make it in time. Unfortunately, a little bit too much time on the map means no AWM going into map number 2. Just got caught staring and watching, and unfortunately, all going to stay onto the map. Can't take AWM ammo with you, can't take the gun with you when you time out in the lobby there, Dan. But still great safe box loot for that Jan team. Forbidden Gaming, probably decent on our leaderboard at the end of the day. We'll take a look at that here in a little bit. But overall, pretty standard zero dam for the most part. I think the only exception to that rule was just nobody contested the damn extract, and that team at the top got out for free.
Yeah, I mean, they win a nice, clear, early fight. Looked really, really solid. Make it look nice and clean. Next thing you know, they're just kind of loot up a little bit, hit that extract for free, and don't really have to worry about anything. For a lot of our other teams, they were kind of getting into the mix. They were going against some of that fights. I think Team Gorilla might have been the only squad that maybe also they found Jay Devise, but I think that was about the only fight they went ahead and took, right? So for some of our squads, they got a little bit mixy. I was very surprised to see the AWM be left on the ground yet again here in map number 1. I don't know what it is about these teams just not realizing. Please get that out of the lobby to bring it into the Crucible round, right? Here in Brackish, but I don't know, man. I mean, a little bit of a loose cannon going on in map number 1, but fantastic moments all the way through.
Yeah, and they still got kills with it, so it wasn't completely wasted. Overall, a fun map. Here's a really big fight. Obviously, nowhere going huge for his team. Grabbing one, trading one out, but overall winning the gunfight. Obviously, Viren's such a massive value add. Some of these close-range engagements. Jay Devise, unfortunately, couldn't get anything going in this map. But then we swing over to this fight, and hey, we got some value, all right? At least one kill with it. All right. That's a 300K value. We take at least something for it, but January not able to make it to the extraction in time. Will bid us farewell with a wave and get ready for the second lobby. So again, players can keep what they get out with, and most of our players didn't get out, so it's whatever you kept in your safe box. They're going to be kitted back up. There is some per match compensation, so they'll at least have something to buy weapons and armor and all the good stuff with before round number 2. Folks, Zero Dam, it was a doozy. It was fun. It was fast paced, but we've got more for you just around the corner. Brackish next, and our very first Mandlebrick round. You're not going to want to miss it. Don't go anywhere.
Chaos. It is the improvisation of fate. Chaos. The art of breaking free from the confines of reality. When the raven cries, millions of wings will tear the night apart.
Claire, time to escort the Raven.
The time has come. Do you read poetry, my friend? For it tells us not what has happened, but what is going to happen.
Your mission is to rescue an inmate with intel on Skynet, so why start a riot?
Don't look at me, mate. I was working on the toilet.
Just calm. Track him down and contact Zoya.
A divine messenger has guided me to your rescue. You are free.
No, no. Firstly, it wasn't a divine messenger. Just a little birdie. Secondly, I've always been free. You're the ones trapped in order.
Inmates have taken the control room and activated tidal defense system.
It's all part of this madman's plan!
That guy doesn't look like he's asking for help.
Zoya was tricked by a birdie.
The guests have arrived. Now let the chaos thicken! Then, Mythor. The air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen sensor, swung by angels whose faint footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor.
GTI. Watch out! There's hallucinogens in the smoke!
Luna!
Luna?
Wretch, I cried. These forces lent thee by the spirits it had sent thee.
No!
Quoth the raven, nevermore. Don't. They'll feel the blade of betrayal pierce their hearts just as I have.
Tidal lock defense protocol fully engaged. Area is on the brink of complete
I don't know what's
submersion.
going on between you two, but we gotta pull out. Now!
Order, the formula of fate. With chaos, fate's writing poetry.
We're back. Delta Force Elite Invitational North America. Here's a quick look at the scores. And so far, so good for two of our teams. Good grief. Team Gorilla on top with over 8 million in value in that last game, all included. That includes their kills, their match compensation, and of course, all that loot they got out with. But Team It's Nowhere, also a fantastic map. 7.9 mil in that one added to the already couple mil that they started with. So Nowhere's team at 8.91 mil overall.
Yeah, and I think the real interesting thing that I'm looking at, you know, we saw Team Forbidden sort of towards the end of that game. They find that AWM, they're picking up a couple of kills, but we thought maybe they were going to go for the no backpack exit. It's just maybe a scramble. But look at this, my dude. Team Nicholas, he has been able to absolutely, with one player extracting, somehow beat out the team that was alive, getting kills, who didn't extract. So I think if there's anything, if you're looking at this, what you should know is that, hey, extracting with just even maybe a little bit less in value, always usually worth more than just trying to stay alive and maybe get a little bit greedy. And obviously we have Team Tech there. They had an early exit, but hey, no worries so far. 3.07 million to their name. So obviously for Team Gorilla, Team Nowhere, it's a very early lead, Goj, but kind of sometimes your total value doesn't matter if one of these other teams can snatch away a Mandlebrick.
Yeah, no, that's a really good shout. And obviously the teams that have more value, it's kind of now a risk reward. How much do we want to bring in order to have an advantage versus have a potential to lose? I mean, we saw in some of the later rounds in the European region, people losing like 4 mil in total value just on the gear they're bringing in. So it'll be fun to see what these teams decide to do on our very first brick round. But let's, for a moment, since we've got a second here before our next game starts, let's talk a little bit about the operator usage here. We've got, it looks like we've got Team Gorilla starting with a D-Wolf and a Nox and a Hat Claw, which is interesting. Dan, talk to me about what else you're seeing, because it looks like Team Forbidden actually started with double Stingers and a Viren, which I don't think I clocked the first time when we were watching them.
Oh, yeah, that's a really good point. I was just talking to our ops in the back. I was just like, man, I mean, I'm already seeing some things blacked out. Is this maybe some weird technically? No, it's because they ran 2 of them. So I think what's interesting for me for like Team Nicholas and Team Forbidden is being able to run 2 of them. Is that, I mean, running double Stinger in map number 1 is a choice. Especially considering you didn't extract with anything and now you're currently sitting in 4th out of 6. So I'm wondering, did you maybe kind of burn it a little bit too early? Same thing for Team Nicholas, right? They have 1 player who's able to extract, but you obviously burned the double Viren early, and you had a D-Wolf with you as well. So just running all 3 assault operators in game number 1, very interesting to me, Goj. Kind of makes me wonder, is that a strategic choice, or is this these are the operators we know how to play? Maybe let's try and go ahead and lean into that here in game number 1, just to try and secure as much value as possible.
Well, we do see equal plays on top of our MVP race. This time around, our MVPs are based on total kills in the lobby, not a per round basis. So total kills at the end of the day will be our MVP of the day. 2 kills here for equal plays. Spades also at 2 kills. Cynical at 1. So overall, a nice start for some of these teams. We had some nice kills early, but a lot more racing to be done, a lot more kills to be had, and excited to ego boost one of our top slayers today, who will be our MVP. It'll be fun to continue to talk about. But yeah, a lot of nuance around the double operator play. It's funny because in pubs, Dan, as we move into Brackish with our Mandlebrick available in pubs, people do this all the time. They run double Lunas in a Stinger. They run double Virens in a Luna, whatever. Into operations like this, where you can only use an operator twice, I am so surprised to see teams use that. But maybe that's a denotion of that they just don't think it's all that valuable, frankly. Maybe they're like, actually, I don't actually like this operator all that much. And maybe they're saying, hey, Stinger, we get all of your value out of your heals in our first round. We're going to have plenty of money for the future rounds. We're not worried about the smokes. We can use smokes on Luna or otherwise. So I don't know. I think it'd be really interesting to see how it works out for them, because it is technically a brand new strategy. And going into Brackish with a Mandlebrick on the map, I can only expect to at least see 1 Luna on most teams for that extra bit of information.
The bold strategy, Coach. We'll have to see how it works out for him, that's for sure. I don't know if I necessarily agree with it, because I think we've seen the absolute insane amount of value Stinger can bring, especially in these Mandlebrick rounds. So not having a Stinger going into some of these is going to be crazy. But it does kind of have me thinking, with some of these other operators that maybe we see as quote-unquote throwaway operators, is there an opportunity to double up in some of these non-Mandlebrick rounds? Maybe we'll see if any of other teams have gone with that. We watched a Suniva just absolutely hook, line, and sinker somebody. Maybe that's a play with a double Suniva, you know, just kind of walking forward with the moving wall of shield. I don't know. That could be something. But here on Brackish, you're going to have your wits about you. That is for sure, Goj, because as we saw earlier today in EU, it all comes down to some of these fights in the Tower of Babel, high value loot zone. You're going to have a lot of squads trying to fight their way through here. And I think whoever can wins basically the fight in the tower might be able to walk away with this, potentially being the top of our leaderboard.
Yeah, that is exactly right. It is time for Brackish, and of course, a Mandlebrick on this map changes everything. Really excited to see who's going to prioritize that. Now, with the Mandlebrick, something we haven't talked about in this broadcast, we talked about it a little bit in Europe, is some of the timers. It's worth mentioning.
Yes.
This Mandlebrick does not spawn in for the first 3.5 minutes of the game. So you can see that on our mini map there on the right-hand side. On the map feed, it does look like this TK team is on top of it, and already potentially is going to be contested by Nicholas' team there in the blue as well. But that Mandlebrick doesn't even spawn for another almost 3 minutes and counting, starting at 3.5 when the lobby starts. Our map timer in total is 20 minutes. And then where it gets a little bit more into the weeds is our timers when you start decoding it. Once you pick up this Mandlebrick, you've got 5 minutes to get to a decoding station. However long it takes, whether it's a full 5 or 60 seconds, doesn't matter. Once you put it into that decoding station, it takes 4 minutes to decode, but anytime somebody steals it, that amount of time can decrease or increase, but it will never go below a minute and a half. So a lot of nuance there. We'll talk a little bit more about it in a bit because, well, Team Gorilla is showcasing the finest strat in all the land. Somebody come to the Tower of Babel and come across, I guess, this line of sight, and they're going to be dead.
It's the friendship strat, right? You get to all hold hands together as some team for some jolly cooperation and maybe spring a trap on somebody. I have no idea. We already see these two teams, like you mentioned, here in this Mandlebrick house. And what we saw earlier in EU is that it kind of gave to this point where it was a long-standing standstill between 3 different squads in this building until it was finally one team deciding, saying, you know what, it's time to go. And they were able to grab, of course, the Mandlebrick and be able to get on out of here. I wonder if in North America we will see the same, or is somebody just going to look to just get active very, very early on once it spawns, try and grab it, try and run away with it, and then manage to just start that decoding and pull a lot of that aggro maybe out of the Tower of Babel and maybe try and use that to their advantage. But something we also saw earlier was Team Arturson. This is how basically in game number 2, how they secured second place, because while everybody else was fighting over the Mandlebrick, they said, have fun. We're just going to loot the entire rest of the map and get on out of here. And they were able to do so and have an insane amount of value to their name.
Yeah, this is total assets on the left side for the entire tournament thus far. So obviously you can see our top 2 teams. But Nicholas' squad really has found a ton of value around this safe. Like we were taking a look at their inventory. They've jumped all the way up to 7 mil overall on our leaderboard currently. So far, so good for them. Just a matter of execution. And I actually quite like a Saniva operator and a Mandlebrick round. It's going to help you be able to play this Mandlebrick decoding station pretty well as well if you do get there in time. And it was funny because we were kind of joking in the first round in Europe. It's kind of fortune favors the bold. The team that grabbed the brick just sprinted for a decoding station right away and were paid for it. So I'll be curious to see if somebody grabs it early because it is active currently. You can get it right now, or if they're going to stay really slow and camp the actual spawn point of the brick.
Definitely a strategy that I would like, and I like this for TK. They're just kind of very slowly, maybe looking for some sort of sound clue, maybe hoping that Team Nicholas tries to scam early, but Mandlebrick is going to go ahead and be spotted. So already starting to be on the move. Who is going to be the ones to grab it? You're already seeing some of these players start moving around. You're hearing some of these footsteps if you are Team Nicholas below you. A little bit split up here for Team Tech is my only sort of curiosity here, Goj. So if you manage to isolate one player, you could quickly turn this into a 3v2. Win a fight at the Mandlebrick. This just could be easy walks for you outside of this building and try and get to that decoding station.
Yeah, so true. Here's a first look. They obviously have known that their opponents are here, but that might be the first look at them technically. Swangis holding the line, and Nicholas holding the other line with a Saniva shield. You're right, his teammates are looting. They are scooting around POI here, picking up as much loot as they can before trying to make a play. He's called them back and said, I found him, boys. So they decided to group up around him and around the shield. See, it looks like Kunji trying to get a read on some of his opponents, and he's getting a track on one. But it is a little bit of patience here around the brick. Nobody's picked it up yet. Those at home, as I can't always assume. Wow, Nicholas finds another. That's the old. I can't remember the exact name. It's the old-timey rifle. That is 658k. Nicholas's RNG luck right now is unreal. This team is gaining on this leaderboard dramatically. Not even playing Tower of Babel, but crazy stuff here. I'll be curious. I guess they're playing second fiddle on this brick. They're saying, hey, we don't need to grab it first. And maybe with the amount of loot they have, Dan, they're thinking maybe we don't play for it at all this game. This is just such a massive value add. I don't know.
It is a possibility, right? You get that. I think that's their second one they maybe have looted in this building, if I'm not mistaken. And if it is, if I'm correct on that, I mean, you find one, you're like, oh, sweet. This is great. You find two, you go, boys, we might need to make a decision here. one of you might need to leave now, right?
Yeah.
Just get on out with as much value as you can,
Yeah,
and then
for
try
sure.
and play 2v3. And realistically, that's the fun part with this Mandlebrick, right? Is that it's not just about being able to pick it up and start the decoding. It's being able, you can steal this from another team, and if you're two, play the right angle, catch this team on the back foot, you might be able to steal it. We watched it get down to 1 second earlier in EU today before a team was able to steal it. And I just think it goes to show what is possible. It was a solo that was able to basically defend themselves. So maybe if you watched EU, you might have a little bit of an understanding that, hey, we should try and be able to make something happen. And it looks like maybe that's kind of what they're trying to do here, Coach, because when we look at the map, two members of Team Nicholas, they are kind of flirting with that extraction right in the middle. And Kunji, he's by himself over by the Blue River Hotel.
Yeah, maybe they're sending 2 out of the map and gonna stick 1 on to play.
The third one?
No way. Right? This is crazy. I don't know what's happening for Team Nicholas, but I love it. There's a chance they're dropping loot to each other and it's proccing the system
that
there.
would make sense.
I bet that's what's happening. We'll have to double check from our observers. But can I just draw our attention to the map feed? Look, I know we got a lot of Team Gorilla fans here. They haven't moved a muscle, Dan. Team in green, body stacked underneath a poster or I don't even know what that was, a billboard that was on the ground. Haven't moved, waiting for Spades, Rogue Pringle, and January Forbidden Gaming to come out of this Tower of Babel and catch them on this cross. This would be the ultimate waiting game if this actually works. And it does look like, as we're waiting, we've got a team that has grabbed the Mandlebrick trying to make a play.
All right, this is what you love to see. And this is where things get a little bit interesting, because if you're going to have 2 members of Team Nicholas try and maybe go for this extract that's ticking on down, it only leaves 1. What decoding station are they going to go to? It looks like they're going to go to this one, just a little bit less of the Royal Museum. And it looks like this is where they're going to start to decode. And I think of all the options you could have had, this might have been your best one. You don't really have a team around you. You have obviously sort of maybe this sandwich that can happen from Team Nicholas, but for Team Tech, they just want to go ahead, get that Mandlebrick into the decoding station, start it early. Look at Jay Device as a solo. Sees all 3 members of Team Nowhere. No shots yet. Oh, here comes the shoulders. Good shots on out. Can he hold the line? Can he manage to stay alive? I don't know. Smoke comes on in. Use that exoskeleton. Get on out of here, buddy. He's just trying to do his best. You might have poked the bear a little bit too much.
He shot that guy. They're still holding the angle. Jay Device is halfway across the map. And as expected, by the way, I did get confirmation from the team behind the scenes. Yes, they were dropping and reorganizing their loot, which makes way more sense. That would have been the craziest luck of all time. But even still, great value. And you actually see that Nicholas doesn't leave with his teammate. He's just protecting his teammate to be able to leave. So we get 1 out of the map, and I think this was a smart move. Obviously, you can take a look at Nicholas' inventory there. The only great stuff he's got is in his safe box. So they did their loot inventory Tetris. They did their thing, feeling good about it now. And now they're probably going to try to get back together again and play as a duo and be able to play for this brick. Team Tech has the brick still. I don't want to forget that. They've got it on the clock right now, less than 3 minutes, and it looks like Team Nowhere is going to get a little active.
Yeah, they're starting to maneuver around. Still laying in wait, waiting very, very patiently is Team Gorilla. No assets attained. I want to call that one out. I haven't moved at all since getting in this map. There's a team actively trying to do the objective here, and they just have nothing to their name of what they want to do. Very, very intriguing. Now, here's my question, though, here, Goj. With Nicholas, you get 1 player on out. Okay, you now start working as a duo to maybe play around this Mandlebrick, try and steal that decoding to yourself. You only got 2 more minutes to make it happen. You're kind of flirting with the area, but you're not getting close just yet. You can see just so far away Kenji and Nicholas are. I'm wondering what the strategy is here.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, right now, I think he's going to try to maybe play spoiler to this team since he has an angle. The problem is his teammates nowhere to be found. A little bit of a weird one. If I'm Nowhere squad, I don't think you know that this solo is behind you. And they're just trying to get eyes on the Mandlebrick ASAP. They breach and clear every room. You never know when there's a solo ratting around looking for you. And their instincts are right. They just don't know where this solo is. However, the clock is still ticking. Let's be very clear about something. This brick might be the easiest Mandlebrick that's ever been captured if they don't get there in time. Also, this is a huge boon for Team Tech. They got wiped first in the first map. It doesn't matter. They're going to have power position on our leaderboard. They are going to be in first place if they get it in the next 50 seconds.
Well, all right. We start seeing them maneuver on up. We saw a little bit of a shoulder thrown. I like this Tech looking to just maybe gatekeep this archway, try and catch them if they decide to go ahead and funnel on in. But if for Team Nowhere, you got to start acting now, and you have to start acting fast. Okay, here we go. Purple Blaster up over the top. It's going to force Tech to back on up. Has to invest some of those consumables that are here. But all three members of Team Tech, they're looking around here. You're starting to see on the bottom side Forbidden. They're moving their way on in. But it's only 20 seconds, Coach. If you're one of these squads around here, you got to start moving fast.
Yeah, I mean, backs against the wall, not against the proverbial actual wall. It's more about against this clock, and we see a couple teams collapsing, and we finally find an angle. Swengus gets cut down, but the question is, does it actually matter? I don't think it does. No, it has been stolen. Nowhere gets the decoding station with 5 seconds on the clock. He had it perfectly timed. Nowhere snags it away. That's going to be Team Yellow sneaking in and grabbing it and not losing a player for it. They use the distraction of Forbidden Gaming getting into the mix to steal it away. And now we have a full 3 minutes on the clock for this decode. We can all have one breath before another fight breaks out.
Dude, if you're Team Nowhere right now, you are giving a nice crisp high five to Forbidden Gaming for sure. Playing in from the backside there, I mean, it was looking a little bit weird. They only had this one single point of entry, but Forbidden, they just roll up in on the back. They catch the one player jumping in over the top, and then it's just you find the other one who's just laying prone, maybe trying to hopefully that you run by him, but they're just immediately wiped. Team Tech, they do a great job of holding down the line until the very final moments of that Mandlebrick decoding. I mean, there's only so much you could do, Coach, right? As a 3 and basically going 3v6. It's a tough task to have, but that is the risk when you try and go for this Mandlebrick early.
Yeah, and speaking of a risk, Jay Devise creeping around the corner trying to play as a solo, and unfortunately Kunji also a solo on this side of the map, trying to reconvene with his friend, his ally, Nicholas, who's in the mix, potentially on the decoding station. So Jay Devise might be dead, but if we could swap over to the decoding station, I think Nicholas might be sneaking it right from underneath two of these teams, Nowhere holding, and Forbidden Gaming right on top. And that's exactly what happens. Look at him. Nicholas, he steals it away. He's just got his shield out. He's going to steal it away for now. We got plenty of time on the clock. This isn't all that consequential, but it does put the ball back into the court of Team Nowhere and Forbidden Gaming, and they've got a player down, and he's just going to try to get this box.
I mean, good job from Nicholas. Got to give credit where credit is due. Being able to snipe out that decoder. My only worry, though, is that yes, you've been able to do that, but there's still a couple of squads here with a full 3. We've seen Nowhere lurking in the area. Forbidden, they're looking around here only as a duo. And, well, we saw Gorilla. He's been able to move on up, and that squad is trying to get active as well, just slowly lurking on the outside. You still have 2 minutes left on this decode, though. So for Nicholas, he can just make sure he tries to play defense if possible.
Should be a potential regrab, and that's exactly what happens. Nowhere is going to be able to re-steal that back. 2.5 minutes on the clock again. Match timer at a little under 6. Still plenty of time to trade hands a couple more times, and that's exactly what happens again. Nicholas says, not today. It does decrease the timer a bit, down to 2 minutes. On the other side, Team Gorilla. Oh, they finally moved. They said, dang, we missed the team that was supposed to come out of Tower of Babel right in front of us. And now we're being the slowest group to get to the party, but they might be getting there just in time, Dan.
It could be. Could be a nice little solid timing they have. Just waiting on the outside. Minute 30. Still on this Nicholas decode. And that is, well, until Nowhere steal it back. This is part of that new sort of update we have, Coach. You can see it's not going to be a full 2.5 minutes. It's on that timer now. It now kicks down to a minute 30. 5 minutes left on the clock, and obviously this is going to start putting some of these teams a little bit on edge. Fights are starting to break on out, and it looks like I'm seeing off in the distance Blue Eagle might be looking to get in the mix as well.
Sammy gets taken down by Blue Eagle off screen, while on screen Sing Song in deep trouble here as Forbidden Gaming is pushing the equation with only 2 players. They have one full down. They're going to trade out one as well. Nowhere full down into yellow timer. Spades has the angle, and it's just cleaning house. Rogue Pringle picking up a quad off screen as they clean up the rest of these kills. A huge takedown for Forbidden Gaming to pick up both these kills and the fulls, and now they can push this fight and play the trade. One, swinging around the corner, doesn't even need the trade. Road Pringle going crazy, and they have wiped Nowhere Squad, sending them packing into the third round. And there's still about a minute left on this decoding clock. And it was going to be Nicholas with the power. Unfortunately, albeit he is still technically decoding, he is down for the count. Good news, Nicholas does have a teammate, at least somewhere nearby. And I guess the question is he going to come get into the action?
I really hope so. You can see Gorilla. They're starting to try and make their way on up. We see a lot of utility starting to get invested, going in up over the top. Looter Boy is going to be tip of the spear, pushing in on forward. Can he manage to find one of these opening pick? You got Spades not too far away, and here you go. All three starting to push on up. Slides around, and they line them on up. Unfortunately, Team Gorilla just a little bit too good on the teamwork. Gonna be able to wipe Forbidden Gaming off the map. And Kunji, we were wondering, where was this last final player from Team Nicholas? They're coming on over, but Gorilla, they have stolen the Mandlebrick, and it is now going to be essentially a 2v1.
Yeah, and this is so funny because as much as I wanted to give Team Gorilla flack for coming in late, it's the right play, and it always has been. It was the same way in Europe. It was the same way in Delta Force Global League Season 2. When you're last to the party, as long as you're not late to the party. If you're last to the party, you usually come out on top. Everybody's weak. Everybody's lost players. And Team Gorilla just had player advantage. They were able to play that trade perfectly because they had more players than their opponents. And that's all that matters. Being able to play those trades, keep everybody up after the revive. And now it's a 3v1, and they have the body lockdown. This is GG's. Team Gorilla is going to be at the top of the leaderboard. I don't know what Team Nicholas could do, albeit they are the only other team to get somebody potentially out of this lobby if Gorilla is able to extract at all, which they don't necessarily need to with the Mandlebrick in their possession.
Well, I was just about to make that point, Coach, was I was like, okay, so we're getting down to the moment, you know, you're going to be able to get this. Are you going to have enough time to go ahead and extract? And then I kind of had that realization of like, with what? They spent the entirety of the game huddled together underneath an awning that was down, and then finally made their way on up. So they've gotten a fair amount of kills. We know that's 300k per kill that they've been able to have. They're going to get the Mandlebrick. They're probably not super worried about, you know, having loot to their name to be able to get on out of here with. Maybe you can finally scrap through some of these bodies that you have, get some stuff in your safe box just to feel good about it. But just like that, you mentioned it. Hey, as long as you are last to the party and not late to the party, you're going to be rewarded. It's going to be Mandlebrick #1 going to Team Gorilla.
Yeah, huge win. Very well played. And they should find a decent amount of loot as well, just on the bot. I mean, there's so many boxes around. Half the lobby died here, if not more. So as long as, I think the only thing that they're going to be paying attention to is just making sure they don't get wiped here. But even if they did, it doesn't really matter all that much since they have stuff in their safe box. You'd like to get out, obviously save quite a bit of loot going into the next round. You don't have to re-kit back up, all good things. And they know there's a solo lurking around just trying to play spoiler. But a little over a minute on the clock, and Team Gorilla, no matter what, is going to be at the top of the leaderboard. Really impressed with this team, of course. They did the same thing in the Delta Force Global League. They played really slow. They came in last, but not late, to each of these parties on the Mandlebrick, and it paid off. And now maybe Kunji's just going to try to get out if he can, try to preserve some extra value. I actually quite like this play because of how much value all of these players had. This is going to be actually a pretty big boon for Nicholas since they missed out on the Mandlebrick.
Let's also remember too, after that game #1, they were top of our leaderboard as well with, I believe, something like 5.1 million that they were able to come on out with, right? So definitely, I think they're realizing like, hey, we had a pretty sizable lead over some of the other teams from game #1. So here in game #2, we prioritize just capturing the brick, and we're not worried too much about trying to maximize the amount of value that we're going to come out of this game here with. So kind of being able to do the best of both worlds. That just goes back to what we said, where sometimes what you do in the non-Mandlebrick rounds is just as impactful as what you're able to do in those brick rounds. So Team Gorilla already off to a hot start through our first 2 maps.
Off to the hot start, packing those safe boxes, gonna let the clock expire, but even still gonna be at the top of the leaderboard. Big shout out to that team and Nicholas for getting 2 members out of the map despite all of the chaos. A fun, brackish first map. Mandlebrick rounds never disappoint. That one, a little interesting, man. That's the second time, by the way, that we've seen somebody steal a decode with less than 5 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah.
I thought for sure Tech's team was going to sneak that in before people could respond, but just in the nick of time, Nicholas and others come in and get involved and steal this brick away. So very well played. But Dan, fun map. What'd you think?
Thought it was absolutely fun, man. I mean, huge shout out to Tech for trying to make it happen very early on. I thought they maybe were going to do a great job, but like we mentioned, it's Forbidden Gaming that basically swoops in through the back, and it finds, you know, them trying to just retreat from that fight against nowhere. And it's basically just this sandwich that happens that Tech was doing a great job holding down the decoder, but it just wasn't enough. And then from there, it basically just kind of becomes this like butting of heads between Nowhere and Forbidden. You have Team Nicholas, who then finally, like at the very end, is sort of just causing chaos by stealing it randomly now and there. But Team Gorilla, patience is a virtue. I love that they were able just to finally come on in, clean it on up, and sweep on through, being able to leverage a lot of that value they found from map number 1 to be able to take that Mandlebrick in game number 2.
Yeah, great shout. I'd love to look back on some of the highlights from that map, because it certainly had plenty of them. Great team fights, some early encounters, and a lot of great patience from Team Gorilla. Let's take a quick look back on those replays. You know, this map started, and it started here, underneath some sort of a billboard for like 8 minutes, because they can, right? They had a power play on the leaderboard, didn't have to rush it. However, this team, the first team wiped in game 1, said, hey, you said fortune favors the bold, Goj. We're going to take it. We're going to put that Mandlebrick in immediately. Tech grabs it, starts decoding it, while Nicholas squad had great RNG luck to start things off. And they get out with one player with like almost 3 mil, I think it was, just on an individual, just to secure some value. But then all hell broke loose. And Dan, the fight started right here with Forbidden swinging up, playing the off angle. And it opened up the fight for Nowhere to potentially steal that away and get the brick started on their side.
Yeah, that's really just what it kind of came on down to. And this is, I feel like we just watched this exact area was just all of the carnage happened right between Forbidden trying to take some of this fight, being able to clean up Nowhere, and then inevitably for Team Gorilla be able to slide on through. Thought I was getting a little bit mixy there with the player just running on forward and getting immediately domed, but I think what he did is he grabbed all the attention, left just enough there the last 2 members of Team Gorilla to clean up those final 2 members of Forbidden. So great job them from there. And well, we already have 1 team with a Mandlebrick, and that means, Coach, we could be potentially ending here in 4. But with the way that game played on out, I don't know if we're ending it here in 4, my dude. Everybody was very bloodthirsty in that first Mandlebrick round.
Yeah, it is definitely still anybody's game, but Team Gorilla is at the top because of their patience. They come in last, not late, and they get the brick. Well played from them. Player advantage, incredibly key to be able to play your trades, and the only reason they were able to win that fight, let alone their skill, of course, but having 1 player up on their opponents, they could trade 1 blood for 2. Very well played from that squad. I'll be curious to see what they can do in games 3 and 4. Folks, we're going to do some math behind the scenes, get our leaderboard up to date. When we come back, it'll be game 3 back on Brackish. This time, airdrops, no brick. Welcome back, Delta Force Elite Invitational North American region and our leaderboard after game 2. Dandro, walk me through it. We got some interesting operator choices, but of course, my eyes are drawn to those loot values, Mandlebricks, and everything in between.
Yeah, you can see there, obviously, after that game number 2 on Brackish with the Mandlebrick there. Team Gorilla, not only do they capture our first Mandlebrick of this series, but they also have the most loot value when it's all said and done. They come out of that still with positive 1.6 million, not too bad. Kind of riding high off of their game number 1 gauge, where they extracted with a lot of value to their name. But not too far away from them is going to be Team It's Nowhere. Even though they basically go negative $94,000 on the round, they still have 8.81 million. But hot on their heels is going to be Team Nicholas, who we watched them. They had one player extract very, very early in that game, which is what's going to give them that plus 4 million. And they are only, what, 0.6 behind Team It's Nowhere there with their 8.75 million.
Yeah, and again, just to be fully clear for the people at home, yes, Team Gorilla has the most loot value, but they could have 0 there in that line, and they would be top of this leaderboard because they got the Mandlebrick. It's priority ranking from Mandlebrick, then loot value. They just happen to be dominating in both categories. Very well played from them. I will say, it's funny looking at this leaderboard, because this is maybe the first time I've seen in a game 3 people have negative score lines from this round because of the kits they brought in for game number 2. Going into game 3 down money from where you were at in game 1 is pretty wild, actually, Dandro. Yeah. And I think it was because they just stacked their gear going into game 2, so they ended up losing out on a ton because just about everybody died on the map.
Yeah, it's a kind of a thing that you want to do, right? You want to bring in gear you feel really comfortable and confident with in that Mandlebrick round to ensure you can go ahead and lock it on in. And Nowhere was looking great, right? Let's remember, they were doing a great job of trying to push the equation on that Mandlebrick area, but it's just a little bit too little too late. They're not able to stay alive. Forbidden Gaming swoops on in, takes them on down, and then inevitably, obviously, Team Gorilla cleans them on up. So it kind of just goes to show that risk versus reward is what you really want to do. The thing I also want to highlight here, Coach, is look at Team Gorilla, right? You're only allowed to use these operators twice through our competition here today, and they already have 3 operators completely taken off the table. They had this strategy for these first 2 games, and it worked out very well for them. And now I'm kind of curious, will they be able to have sort of a backup strategy as they get ready to move on into Brackish with no Mandlebricks, but with some airdrops? So Nox, D-Wolf, and Hacksaw are going to be taken off the board here for them, but still, I'm looking at operators like Viren and Stinger and Luna still on the table, and they still have 2 uses with both.
They got a lot of value, especially when we get to Space City. That's super interesting. Let's take a look at our MVP race, though, because there was a lot of kills on that last map, and it's actually going to be Rogue Pringle in spades taking the top of our individual kill category leaderboard. Our MVP for the day is going to be total kills across the entire competition. So a lot of folks have a couple on the board, but it's Rogue Pringle in spades with 4 apiece. So they'll be 1 and 2 respectively on our MVP race here, Dan.
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, Rogue Pringle was doing a great job in that game, finding a lot of kills that were there. Obviously part of Forbidden Gaming. They were the sort of, I believe he was maybe the player who kind of rolls on up, finds that kill on the first player, jumping on over, and then surges forward, hops over the wall to bring down another one. So we still got a lot of maps left to play, though, my friend. Definitely could still be anyone's race for MVP.
Yeah, absolutely. We are headed back to Brackish again. This is going to be map 3 of the day. This time, no brick, and this time the airdrops are back. There's going to be 2 of them scattered throughout the course of this map. And Dan, I want to remind people about what happened in game 1 and also what happened in the European region. These airdrops are incredibly valuable, not only for just great loot to get your loot value numbers up, but also AWM and about 20 rounds of ammo. Obviously great value there, but the best value you can get from it is holding some of these sight lines either in this map or the next one.
Yeah, and I feel like that's really what we saw, right? It was the ability for Team Stickinson to pull up the AWM in this map, but then have it for Space City with those incredibly long sight lines. It was, I would dare say, arguably the reason they were able to capture the Mandlebrick in game number 4 in EU. So hopefully some of our teams, they were maybe going ahead, maybe they had the tournament on earlier here today while they were doing other things on their Saturday, and they realized that and hopefully are going to have a similar strategy. We watched Forbidden Gaming here in our game number 1 gauge. They had that AWN and it just wasn't enough for them. They didn't get out in time with it So hopefully they're going to prioritize it a little bit more in this round and maybe do what we saw Team Nicholas do in that last brackish game, which is if you can secure that airdrop, you get the AWM, you get the ammo, put it on one person, stack them up with some high value loot and get them the hell out of this map.
Yeah, here's a quick look at the map view. You see 2 teams in Tower of Babel, 2 teams on the north side, and it looks like Team Gorilla is off to the races immediately. Maybe thinking we want to play for this north side of the map as well and potentially get into the mix. And again, in game 3, this is where it gets real interesting, but the strategies can vastly differ from team to team depending on where you're at in the leaderboard. If you need loot bad, I'm looking at Jade Advise in the brackish market. They really don't want to fight right now. They need to loot up first and only take fights that they know are a sure thing to win. Obviously, players have great loot on them, a lot of value. And so if we do see this fight break out, Team Gorilla is going to get very active. And I'm almost wondering here, Dan, with the operators they chose, Stinger, Uluru, and obviously Viren, they may be trying to play extremely aggressive here, potentially. And I'll be curious to see what they go for, because we had a conversation in Europe that didn't end up happening. They could be going for the strategy we called out. Hey, you're way up.
Yeah.
Go aggro and just try to wipe teams and ruin their chances of catching up to you on this leaderboard, not only because of the brick, but also because of loot value. I don't know, but I did see somebody bring in white helmet, blue armor. Jade Advise only a white helmet this time around, unfortunately, tier 1. So I'm not sure what Team Gorilla's doing, but we'll continue to pay attention to them and see what they decide to do. They may just be trying to play this long angle on the top side of the map.
Yeah, I mean, you got 18 minutes here on this map remaining, right? So, I mean, they're just going to go ahead, I think, just loot up that northwest side, and we could just see them maybe sweep all the way through this top side of the map until they eventually push on down towards the Tower of Babel. We only have really sort of 2 teams currently in the tower, with Team Tech sort of feels like they are just slowly moving in now. So very split map. I would like to see Team Jade Advise maybe move their way a little bit more south. We could see them do that if they get in one of these early engagements going on here. Gonna give a huge shout out, obviously, for Team Jade Advise. Jay had to play first 2 maps maybe as a little bit of a solo, but hey, he gets his teammates Brandon and Too Easy back on in here, and the climb could start now, right? We've seen a lot of stuff happen here in Delta Force, and maybe it could just be a quick little third party, get on out of here with some loot, feel A-okay.
Yeah, as we take a look at the Tower of Babel, creeping corners, we hear footsteps. And if I read that map correctly, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure nobody's looted Museum yet. And I'm thinking it's just because they thought somebody else would be there already and they weren't trying to take some of those early engagements, because we saw Gorilla's team spawn near it, but then just travel up that western side of the map all the way to the top. So Museum might be open for the taking, and that's actually where I believe Nicholas' squad got so much loot value last time, was in the Museum around the Mandlebrick, and then obviously Tech's team was able to take it first. I'll be curious to see if maybe somebody goes for that late game, double checks it, and goes, oh, wait, none of these safes have been opened. Oh, we got a lot of value here.
Fantastic. Like when you find $20 in your pants that you haven't worn for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Wait, why is this here?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not even angry. Actually quite impressed. Nowhere. I'm gonna go ahead sitting on this Seneva. And I think I like this op comp for, obviously, I think, for when you're trying to look at maybe taking some engagements, and we're talking about that with Team Gorilla as well when it comes down to these operator compositions. Are you trying to poise yourself more for your ability to sort of get out, or for your ability to be able to bring the aggression to some of those other teams? We can see Team Tech, they're already on the move. They have the Nox, they have the D-Wolf, also have the Hack Claw as well. So investing some of that recon here on the non-brick brackish to maybe kind of gain themselves a little bit of an opportunity to take some of these fights.
Yeah, still can't quite find the angle, but got to double check all the corners. A slow start to this map, to be expected though for the most part. I think there's a rogue strategy that Dan and I want to see. Nice find with the finder, but a rogue strategy of just getting hyper aggro, bring in like cheap gear and just go absolutely crazy if you're the team at the top already with a brick, but probably not worth it. Want to play out every map that you can, the best you can. A quick look, and it does look like actually Team Gorilla sprinted up to the northwest to hang out here for a while. As per the usual, they have a very patient, some may call it ratty, I call it a winning strategy. They can play ratty, it's okay, chat. It is operations. Rattiness is not the end of the world. Gonna play a little ratty up there, playing very slow. Probably gonna play for this top extraction. and play for a fight up there, knowing a team spawns up here. That's the thing you got to remember too, is they all have a pretty, frankly, long rule book that describes everything that you need to know to compete in this tournament with this brand new format. And one of those things is it lists all the spawns, it lists the Mandlebrick spawns, the decoding stations, all that good stuff. So they know where teams usually will spawn, T1, T2, Tier 3 spawns, but it's a question of when do you fight them? And J-Device's squad still playing extremely patient from market, overlooking the Imam over at the Forbidden Gaming team. Our team's in the Tower of Babel. Unfortunately, it looks like Team Nowhere is technically sandwiched in the middle, albeit high ground likely. Actually, looks like they're not Ultimate High. It's going to be blue a little bit higher on the edge here. But Ultimate High, not necessarily everything when it comes to the Tower of Babel. I mean, look at the total assets obtained here on the left side, Dan. Doesn't look like actually we found great loot thus far. Nicholas team, the most. This is just this map alone on the left. 1.6 mil for Nicholas.
Yeah, and I think that was like kind of my most curious thing was they're just kind of like looking at it like nobody's looting. Nobody's really doing anything, especially with these 3 teams that are going to be in the Tower of Babel. Now you can hear, thanks to a little bit of that subtitles, we have airdrops are going to start dropping on in. So we could see some of these teams move their way out of the Tower of Babel, start making their way towards those airdrops. We know how clutch being able to get that. And even if you don't get the AWM go, just something we talked about earlier, just you get a lot of really nice loot out of it. So even being able to have that to your name in a map where it seemingly seems like a lot of players aren't finding necessarily the high value loot that they know they're looking for, it'd definitely be a nice little boon. Go ahead, hit that airdrop. Maybe you don't get the AWM. You say, hey, no worries. Go ahead. Maybe get to that extraction point if you can.
Yeah, not a bad thought. And again, these are kind of prep rounds. As much as we saw a ton of action in Europe in these rounds, these technically are prep rounds for the Mandlebrick rounds. And so I'll be curious maybe if they're just going to play slow here, get a little bit of loot and then get out and make sure to protect the loot that they brought in. It could be the play, but they definitely know. And oh no, Sing Song from the backside. Wow. Finds the angle. We didn't even see it on main. Sing Song just wiped the whole team. We didn't see it. Tech didn't see it. Sing Song saw it all. Team Tech out of this lobby in a blink of an eye. The X-ray deceived me. I saw the other side of it, not the team behind them. A jump scare for us in the booth too, Dan. What a find.
Yeah, that is a huge wipe, and you got to feel for Tech. Game number 1, they were first team wipe. Game number 2, they try and get active, maybe play from behind, grab that Mandlebrick if they need it. And game number 3, they are the first team taken out yet again. Not looking good. And for Team Gorilla, I feel like we're seeing a little bit of deja vu from map number 2, my friend, as they are just holding down the forces. We got a lot of time in this match, boys. Guess what? We'll let everybody else get active. We'll swoop on in at the very end. I saw somebody in the chat say this is Team Vacuum Cleaner as well. Just coming on in, sucking up all the loot, taking the space. I'm kind of about it. Team Roomba.
Yeah, that is the Team Roomba is crazy work, but a fight still happening on the other side. Team Tech wiped means there's a decent amount of loot on the ground, but you don't want to get caught with your hand in the cookie jar, as it were. So you want to pay attention to where this Nowhere squad is. Again, Nowhere's team, 2/3 of this team compete in the Delta Force Global League in this same format or close to the same format. And they got 2nd overall, a really strong team. Today, about middle of the pack. You're seeing decent loot being found here. Nicholas, yet again, finding good loot. J-Device off screen, finally finding some solid loot. That's like a quarter of his entire team's total asset value. So a huge boon. No shade. It just is what it is. That's a great boon for him. He needs to put that thing in the safe box. Be excited about it. Nicholas' team still looting up and finding some good value.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you have to do if you're trying to play from behind right now. Find that value, be able to have it. And look at the safe box here for that player. It's a reinforced carbon plate. Quick little 2.2 mil, just taking up your entire safe box. Not a bad thing to just have in there for the time being.
We take those.
Hey, you take those. J-Device, though. Now that he has the teammates, he's going to be able to play just a little bit better. We saw them play a little bit towards that north side of the map. Just trying to be able to play around here. 10 minutes. Still left on this map. And just everybody, I guess it's just trying to figure out what's the plan here. I think that's what everybody's trying to do is nobody wants to move right now. Goes, they're all so worried about getting taken out by a different team. Team Tech, they're the only squad that's gone on down, and really it's the only fight we've seen happen for the time being, and nobody else is super close to each other, besides maybe down here in the Tower of Babel, where we can see obviously Squad Nowhere moving up loosely in the vicinity of Nicholas. But this area is so big, it's like, does this fight even actually happen?
Yeah, also, I've gotta say sorry to Team J Divides. You can see the assets they've gotten on this map alone, 2.5 mil. That is very impressive. I thought I read it was 220K. It was 2.2 mil, all right? That's more than his total assets currently on the leaderboard, okay? So, I don't know. They're doing well right now. I think this is a good map for them to honestly just get out, so they've got good loot going into a brick round. But Dan, I don't know. I mean, we could see a fight here. I will say, the first 10 minutes have already passed. We're 11 minutes into this match. There's only 9 minutes and counting left. So, frankly, it's a matter of, okay, are we actually just going to use this round to loot up? And if so, that's totally fine. I don't mind that strategy at all. Or will there be a big fight that breaks out here, either in Tower of Babel or on the north side? Our observing team, I'm sure, is still watching there, and there it is on the north side. We've got an airdrop landing in about 30 seconds. There's going to be a ton of value there. Likely Forbidden Gaming power position on that airdrop. Could see Team Gorilla now slightly on the move. Maybe creep that way, but of course, got to continue to pay attention to this fight here on main.
Yeah, and you saw, obviously, some great shots from Team Nicholas. You get, I believe it was equal down very, very low. Fortunately, not going to be able to get the full there. So he's going to be able to back on up, still stay alive. You're seeing some shoulders get thrown from downrange, but it feels like these two teams having a little bit of respect for each other. I feel like I'm also just loosely waiting. You mentioned him a little bit when we took a look at the map view. It's Team Gorilla. I feel like they were exactly waiting for that airdrop to come on in as their opportunity to start moving. And now, as we start to see some of our squads looking to get active right now, already looking very close. Kunji kind of in a 1v3 right here, but can Team Nicholas, can they swarm? Can they find the angles they need to activate on this squad? You're all split apart. If you can all manage to push on through at the same time, you could decimate Team Nowhere, but I'm worried it's going to be one player just a little bit too early who brings you on down. And I like what Kunji's doing. Go ahead, melee, destroy some of this equipment in front of you. Get rid of that barbed wire. Maybe you can find an opening. And that's not how you do that, but okay.
Yeah, I think they might have been able to obviously stun themselves a little bit, maybe stun the door open and look for a play here. It gets closed right back in their face. They know there's a player right there on the other side, and they probably know, hey, we can't really swing on this, because they're going to have the angle to hold. There's a stun going through. Does it connect? I don't think so. Backed up just enough. But I think two players holding, and they see them both. Saniva, operator, one of them kind of out in the open. Hop, skip, and a jump. Doing some acrobatics and yet to be hit. It's the Matrix up in here thus far. Let's see if he's actually Neo. Kunji looking for an angle, maybe some toes. On the other side, by the way, on the north side of the map, it looks like Eze, with that guided missile from Uluru, is able to guide it up and pick up spades from Forbidden Gaming. If that fight gets too hot, we'll go take a look at it. But for now, somehow, some way, Kunji is him and has forced this team back.
Yeah, I want to see pressure maybe start to get a little bit active here. Can you find a spot where you can get some of these shots on in? Oh, the timing just as he looks away. Sing Song throwing a shoulder. It's a great shots on in. You'll pin them back into this cubby for the time being. Top right. I am seeing Forbidden Gaming. It looks like it's a wipeout. I think J Devise, they are eliminated at the hands of Forbidden. So that fight's going on. We, of course, have Nicholas taking on Team Nowhere here. Ooh. And you're already starting to get active, but Sing Song, he's going to answer on back, and there you see the knock.
A nice flank here from Pressure. They knew he was there, but he just wins the trade. Ooh. Gets the full cleanup as well. They can't get the revive. It's a 2v2, and Pressure has the angle. He's getting pushed, though, by a Saniva. You better run. You better hide, and unfortunately, you might get grappled or beat down. A shield to the face takes a little bit of health away, but can't get too active here. Your toes are exposed, and he's actually going to play with the gun, but it wasn't reloaded. He didn't have it loaded, and it might not matter. They trade blows. They lose ammo, and it's a knife to the face. What are we witnessing? Kunji goes crazy, and Nowhere's team gets wiped. That was wild. Pressure in a 1v1. Kunji on the back end. They win the fight with a knife to the face. What on earth? That was worth it.
Against the Saniva at that, right? I mean, that's kind of the fun part about that shield is it still protects your back. when you have it. So, I mean, I think obviously he thought he had that gun reloaded, right? That's just straight up what it was. Thought he could maybe finesse, pull out the weapon, but has to reload in the middle of the fight, and it's just not enough. You dump the mag. It's just, you're not going to find the hip fire bullets that was there. And next thing you know, it's, like you said, knife to the face and your team getting eliminated. So huge win from Team Nicholas there. That is absolutely wild. We watched while that was going on. Obviously, Team Forbidden, they take down Team J Devised, and it looks like they're going to start making their way towards that extraction point as well. And for Team Gorilla, they've just moved about, I don't know, maybe like 100 meters total, it feels like, in this game, as they just loosely made their way from the top left of the map down to where they are now.
Well, those that were very astute, you may see it on your screen now. While that fight was going on in utter chaos, you might have seen that Lapua ammo on the right side getting picked up by the man, the myth, the legend, Rogue Pringle, who says, hey, I learned my lesson from EU, by the way, and from game 1 when the exact same thing happened. I'm getting the heck out of here. Rogue Pringle grabs the AWM and leaves the map, folks. He's going to have an AWM going into map 4, a huge boon for Forbidden Gaming. They leave with one player. The other two stay on the map to potentially get active, as it looks like Team Gorilla is going to run the Dr. Prometheus mission, get some extra cash, and potentially get out through the Doctor extraction point. But even still, what an odd map. We had such a slow map to start, then a crazy fight in the Tower of Babel, and Team Gorilla saving their funds in a lot of ways. I mean, can we just look at Sammy Suck's kit right now?
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's running green ammo, blue vest, white helmet. He's not bringing in anything valuable. He's definitely going to be their front man, taking some of these fights early and getting information for his team, I assume, and just keeping them up with the Stinger. I don't mind this play if they didn't expect to get out. I guess the question is, if that was the plan, why not get active?
Yeah, I guess I'm right there with you. Like with this team comp specifically, I would have loved for them to get a little bit more active, because otherwise it does very much look like they just brought in very low level loot, and maybe we're not planning on doing much in this game, saying, hey, you know what, we'll let the rest of you try and do what you want. We're looking forward to map number 4 on Space City. We want to try and end this one in 4 if possible. We want to have as much loot as we possibly can going into that map number 4. So then I'm kind of wondering, why waste the operators, right? Why waste those slots on maybe a potential quote-unquote throwaway round? So it maybe feels weird, but hey, you know what they've been doing has been working absolutely great thus far. We saw them brainstorming in their Discord chat, going absolutely crazy on what they wanted to do. So they probably know something a little bit more than us, and you're right, maybe sometimes the operator choice is basically insurance for them to be able to have, you know, that stinger, be able to keep people alive if they need to, or if they need to just try and smoke off and escape, that way they can make sure that they are able to get to that extraction. But seems like a second AirPod or airdrop has hit the map, and well, for Forbidden, that's a lot of cash in their back pocket. A lot of technicality to them.
Yeah, a great breakdown of Gorilla. If they do win this tournament, that is absolutely a question we're asking in the post-event interview. But here's a quick look at them. They are looting some of these last-minute safes before they try to leave here. The extraction's active. A great shot on Forbidden Gaming. Technically winning out on both airdrops is crazy amount of loot value. Obviously, AWM, Rogue Pringle out of here. Now everybody's going to be collapsing on this last extraction point mid of the map. All 3 teams down to maybe a duo for this fight besides Gorilla. They should have a third close by. I'm not sure Sammy really counts all that much besides healing in terms of what he's bringing, but you never know. A couple green ammo to the face for somebody that's got a weak helmet. It's possible.
All of these 3 teams starting to circle each other. Team Forbidden, they've had one player get their way out of here in spades. Hops across, has managed to find himself on this other side. Unfortunately for him, Looter Boy has you in his sights. January jumps on forward, maybe just trying to find somebody on the exit, but oh my god, 2 members from Team Gorilla, they'll get on out of here. Unfortunately for Sammy, he's gonna go on down, but he is gonna find Nicholas in the process there. I don't even know what's going on at the end of that game. It's just everybody's just throwing their life away because they can, dog.
What I loved about that was so funny. 2 things happened at the final moments there. What's crazy is you got to remember too, with extractions, this is for the people at home, you've probably had this happen to you maybe one time. If you're on a red timer, if you're crawling, but you're in the extraction zone, when the timer hits 0, you're out of the map. So actually, I think it looked like, and I think it did confirm on our leaderboard, I think one member of Forbidden Gaming swings in and says, knock, knock, open up the door, I'm here, but still technically gets out. And I think it was their third that went first that does go down to yellow that won't get out of the map. So I think one member of Forbidden Gaming gets out with a sizable amount of loot, while the rest of Team Gorilla said, hey, we're good with like the 700K we found on the map. We are out of here. Production has confirmed that is the case, by the way.
Wow.
Forbidden Gaming did get one player out of that map because they were technically not full killed going in with 1 second on the clock and getting knocked. But Team Gorilla got out with 2 total, not all 3. I think somebody maybe got off the point the last second. That was Sammy Meadows. And Sammy then proves me wrong. I think he actually gets a knock on Nicholas' last player and then obviously doesn't make it out of the map as well, even though he's wielding green ammo. So utter chaos. And frankly, Dan, a weird map. But overall, I think the win of that map goes to 2 teams. Forbidden Gaming, they still get out with 1 with great loot. Their safe boxes were stacked.
Yep.
They also get out with an AWM going into the next round. That's going to be a huge value add. The other team was Nicholas' team. They clean up over there in the Tower of Babel, pick up a couple missions. They get out with like 5 mil or something like that. Actually, a really good map. Those are the teams that got so much value out of that one, where Team Gorilla kind of was lurking, waiting for something to happen, didn't find it, and just kind of get out of the map with what they brought in.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a great breakdown of it because it's really just kind of tells the tale of 2 different squads, right? It's one squad trying to be able to get on out with as much loot as possible, and it's another squad realizing we already got a Mandlebrick to our name. We wouldn't got to do anything crazy in here, and you saw really that kind of come to fruition when we take a look through some of these replays. Okay, I think that what we saw here was Team Gorilla very early on. We finally realized maybe why they aren't moving too much, but for Team Nowhere, it was all about getting active in the Tower of Babel. They took down Team Tech very early on, but then they're just not able to stay alive. A fantastic play from Nicholas to bring them on down. And well, for Forbidden, like you mentioned, it was just all about being able to snag those airdrops, get a lot of value, get that AWM, and get on out of dodge.
Yeah, this is frankly really smart decision making from a lot of these teams on how to get in and out of this map, when to get in and out of this map, probably learning things. But this fight was so crazy to me, and it was actually Nowhere getting taken down with that knife to the face at the last moment. Here are the final moments I was talking about. It's January. Look at that. Barely not fold, able to make it out. And then Sammy somehow wins that gunfight. That's an extra 300K for Sammy just for winning that gunfight. I don't think all the stuff he brought in was worth 300K. That's a net positive win for Sammy Meadows. Well played, my friend. What a crazy finish to that last map.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the great thing about being Team Gorilla and not coming in with much, right? Is that when we look at this scoreboard after the break, it's just going to be, it's guaranteed to be a plus something, right? Because they came in with so little, they at least get that 300K for the kill. I'm really looking forward to it, but I'm also really looking forward more to this first map on Space City, Coach, because like we said, EU ended in 4 maps. I said I didn't know if NA was going to end in 4 maps. The way Team Gorilla is playing right now, man, they're kind of on a different level than everyone else. And I don't know, map number 4, I think is going to tell us a lot about how the rest of this day is going to go.
Well, the team at the top, we know exactly who it's going to be, but some more math behind the scenes. I expect Team Nicholas to jump up this leaderboard quite dramatically. Maybe Forbidden Gaming to swing for the fences in map number 4 with that AWM. You're going to have to pay attention, wait and see. We're going to take a very short break here in the booth. When we come back, potentially the last map of the day or the start to the series of 3 maps of Space City. Don't go anywhere.
大家好，我是 Shadow， 非常高兴 Delta Force 规模非常大的新赛季即将推出，也特别期待大家的反馈。关于大家一直想要的主机版本，我们一直在努力的在做准备。今天终于有一个好消息会告诉大家 ，Delta Force 的主机版本将在8月19日正式推出，会登陆 PS5、Xbox， 并且是免费游玩的。黑鹰坠落也会作为免费 DLC 推出。再过几个小时，我们的主机版本的商店页面即将开放请大家记得把我们添加进入心愿单。同时呢，我们也会推出一个超值的主机平台的礼包，然后现在购买可以在主机上线的时候获取。我们也将在7月份开启主机平台的先检技术测试，请大家关注我们的官网和各大的官方社区。我们也将在陆续发布一些招募的一些指引，欢迎大家来体验，也希望大家多多给我们提一些反馈意见，我们会对这些反馈意见做出很好的优化和修改。同时呢 ，Delta Force 是我们团队的 第一款的跨端产品，也是我们首次在主机平台上的尝试。我们的团队花费了非常多的时间和心力，然后我们希望能够把产品打磨好，和大家见面。也感谢大家一直在耐心的等待和支持。我们会继续努力，会打磨好我们的主机版本。除此之外，我还想给大家带来一些全球电竞的新消息。今年呢，我们将举办首届的 Delta Force 烽火地带的全球总决赛。来自8大赛区的顶级战队将在烽火地带的战场上角逐首个全球的总冠军头衔。各个赛区的预选赛也将逐步的开展，每一位玩家都有机会参与。更多的消息请关注我们的官方社区。最后，我想真心的感谢所有的玩家在社区里面给我们反馈了非常多有价值的意见，也一起创作了很多有趣的话题和内容。过去几个月，我们看到了非常多各种各样充满创造力和想象力的作品不断的在社区里面出现，整个团队其实是非常喜欢也非常开心的，也期待有更多的一些内容在社区里面出现。谢谢大家，让我们一起打造更好的 Delta Force。
Welcome back to the Delta Force Elite Invitational. North American region is heating up. We are 3 maps in, moving into map number 4 here, Dan. And look, Brackish was a ton of fun, but I am ready to get into some Space City, my man.
Absolutely. Before we hop on into Space City, though, we got to see where do we stand on our scoreboard, of course, after that last game of Brackish, because we know who's at the top. It's Team Gorilla. They have the one Mandlebrick that we've had, of course, from the first game of Brackish. But after the last game, we are going to see some different teams come out on top, I think, with some different loot value items to be able to have, okay? I feel like what we are seeing here is that some teams in that last game really highly prioritized just being able to get their one player out where they needed to. One thing we talked about right at the very end was, of course, Forbidden Gaming getting out with that AWM, and that could be something that comes in clutch here in game number 4 on Space City.
Yeah, I love that shout, man. The long sight lines, AWM, obviously a very strong weapon, but also we frankly just saw this like a couple hours ago. European region, almost an identical thing happened, but this time a little bit different from the European region. The team with the Mandlebrick the team with the Mandlebrick advantage already doesn't have the AWM. It's Forbidden Gaming that has the AWM, which means they could play spoiler. They could meet our team at the top and match Team Gorilla as well, which is exciting stuff. A lot going on and a lot more still to play for, likely going longer than 4 rounds, but hey, Team Gorilla has been able to make some magic happen when a lot of folks doubted them. At least we doubted them for a moment here in the booth. Or maybe just me, Dan. You probably had all the trust and faith in them. But I doubted them for a moment, yet they always come out on top. I'm telling you, watch out for this team. They could absolutely do it in our very first map of Space City. Worth mentioning, since we haven't seen Space City in a little while, or not at all in this tournament today for North America, Dan, this Mandlebrick spawns dead center of the map, right underneath the boss of this map, surrounded by little mini tanks. So it is going to be pretty fun to take a look at. But first, like you said, let's take a look at our leaderboard, and Dan, break it all down for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got one Mandlebrick already. Go ahead, captured by Team Gorilla. So we'll let them sit at the top. No worries. But one thing to note, they do have 14.77 million in total values obtained. Yet still managed to get out of that last game. We talked about it somehow with 3.8 million. So hats off to them. But I want to take a look at these next couple of squads because they're all kind of relatively close. Of course, Team Nicholas, 16.28 million. And this is where it kind of comes on in where, yes, they might have more total value than Team Gorilla, but they don't have a Mandlebrick. And that's the thing to keep an eye out on. They come out plus 7.5 million. And Team Forbidden, they do a great job there at the very end, getting one player on out, 12 million to their name, plus 5.4 million on the round. And from there, it kind of just geeks on down a little bit, Goj, because nowhere, they're just shy of Team Forbidden. They only come out with 2.1 million. And then, of course, Team J Device, we got to give him some credits here, my man, because, you know, they had J Device just playing as only a solo through those first 2 games. You get a full squad here in game number 3, and you've somehow been able to overcome Team Tech in that last game, coming out with plus 4.8 million.
Yeah, honestly, hey, we're on the come up, man. We've like quintupled our loot value from at the end of game 2, I believe it was. So well done to them. Obviously, great value from that 2.2 mil red item they picked up. On the come up, still a long way to go, but still, hey, if they're able to leapfrog one more place, you're jumping up in our overall pricing by quite actually doubling the amount of pricing. Math is hard. $1,000 for 4th place if they're able to get there. So a lot more work to do for a lot of teams, but I've got to tip my hat. Team Gorilla able to maintain 14 mil and be at the top of the Mandlebrick going in with a power position in this next map. Fantastic stuff, but Team Nicholas, great looters as well. Let's take a look at our MVP race, though, because Rogue Pringle has crept out to the top, I believe, picking up the lion's share of the kills against J Device's team of 3. But I believe they ended up full wiping in that one early in this map. And so because of that, Rogue Pringle has jumped up to the top of our MVP race. That's exciting stuff. 6 kills overall with Sing Song and Spades right behind.
Yeah, no, you're definitely feeling good, I think, right now if you are Rogue Pringle. I think maybe it might have been tough for MVP race after that last map. Not entirely sure. All I know is that you're on top of it now, and that is exactly what matters. 6 kills to your name above, of course, these other 2 players. Keep doing what you're doing, Rogue Pringle, because obviously for Forbidden Gaming, they're finding the kills. Sometimes just find themselves maybe in the not best situations, but I think it's because they are trying to get a little aggressive. Now, my real question is, will they be able to keep that aggression here in Space City now that, of course, we have the Mandlebrick back on the map?
Yeah, and it's Space City till the tourney's over, folks. It's going to be a dang good time, and there's going to be a Mandlebrick on every single one of these maps. Space City 1, Space City 2, and Space City 3. It could be here in map 4, or it could be 5 or 6, but either way, if Team Gorilla gets a Mandlebrick in one of these next 3 rounds, they win the tournament, no questions asked, which is exciting stuff. Now, if anybody else can join them with a Mandlebrick, it comes down to loot value. As a reminder, our first metric of ranking on our leaderboard is Mandlebricks, and then we rank via that loot value. So if 2 teams have a Mandlebrick, whoever has the more of the loot value will be at the top. And that matters because first place playing for $4,000. Second place, $2,500. A big jump between our top 2 teams. And I'm excited to see some more Space City here, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see some more Space City as well. We might see a lot more Space City depending on how this map goes, right? I mean, when we come on in, there's a chance for Team Gorilla to be able to come on out and end this in 4, just like we saw with EU earlier here. And the way they've been playing, Goj, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens, right? We've been seeing a lot of battles come on out, and it's just been Team Gorilla basically saying, hey, you guys can all have fun. Go for it. We're just going to sit here. We're going to wait. And that's exactly how they took the Mandlebrick in here at game number 2. They can make it happen here in game number 4.
Yeah, I've said this every broadcast. I will continue to say it. In operations, patience is absolutely a virtue. It's just a matter of when you use patience to your advantage. Looking at these spawns, obviously, a quick reminder, 3.5 minutes from the start of the map is when you can pick up this Mandlebrick. So you can't pick it up for another 2:45. As you can see that timer counting down, it will not spawn in until then. Already, Team Gorilla this time not playing slow. They want to play around this Mandlebrick to end and win this tournament right here, right now. And Nowhere's team knows it. They're going to be right here into the mix as well. Also, Nicholas' team. That's our team in second place right now because of loot value. All up here around this Mandlebrick. likely going to be a waiting game inside of these buildings surrounding the Mandlebrick spawn location. They're going to loot up their respective buildings, play slow, watch the brick, and see who moves first. Could be a bit of a standoff, but even still, they're going to make sure that nobody gets it for free.
No, I think that's a great play to understand what's going on there. And I'm just looking to see, is anybody starting to maybe make some of these moves? Yes, we just spawned on in, and we can see Tech already starting to be, I feel like, the only team that's really moving here around the map. Team Nowhere, they're just hanging on out, holding their sight lines, holding their angles, and it looks like that is what the plan is right now. You have two people just kind of holding the line, making sure nobody's pushing from a direction, and it looks like you have one more who's actually just trying to run around and start to get some of that loot in your back pocket if possible. That is there. So one of the things we'll also keep our eye on as we go around some of these early looting paths is going to be the operator compositions. Nicholas coming on in with the Saniva this round alongside the Toxic and the Luna, so obviously saving some of their usages of those recon operators for these very important rounds. And I think this is a solid comp to be able to have, especially when you're trying to come on in here and deny a team from being able to snag this Mandlebrick.
Yeah, I like that shout. Potentially first encounter here. Nicholas obviously burning their second Saniva. Nicholas on that Saniva again, also running a sniper, by the way. And it's funny because at first I thought this was one member of the Team Nowhere, but it's actually the flamethrower NPC, if you will, the AI. I think the flamethrower AI actually got a kill on Brockish, by the way. I think he actually knocked Sammy on that map. I think I saw that in the replay package. They don't mess around, bro. If you get caught by surprise by the flamethrower, also Sammy, I think running pretty low level gear in the last map, I'm going to pay attention to. But speaking of not low level gear, yeah, we're getting into some later rounds, folks. Gear is starting to get a little bit more valuable. Sing Song rocking tier 5 ammo. Gun's gonna be hitting like a truck.
Yeah, that's really important. You can even see there the entire team rocking the purple helmet, purple vest as well. And you probably have a real strong idea that at least even the #1 team who you're probably gonna have to try and go up against in a fight, you know that they had a lot of value to their name and that they are gonna be coming in with some high tier sort of armor. So you're gonna need that ammo to back it up as well. For right now, it just looks like these two teams here at the top, I don't know, Goj, they're just a little bit of a dance of death, it feels like. It's always, we talk about who can scam first, who's going to be able to be the first team that makes the mistake. I don't think it's, I don't know, going to be either of these two squads. It feels like too much respect going on between the two. For Team Nowhere, I think they might just back on up and try and either engage from a different direction or just move somewhere else around this Mandlebrick.
I think it's the right call. You know, we talk about this in pretty much every title that we cast. It's definitely the case in Delta Force, but you've got to respect your opponents at some level. Obviously, people have egos and they think they can make a play, especially if they have better loot. But you know, right now, especially Team Nicholas, they're bringing in some heavy kits. They've got so much loot value to play around with. They've got a huge buffer. They can get aggressive with what they're bringing in, even if it does mean they have a negative on their leaderboard at the end of this one. It does look like Nicholas's team is going for the brick first, potentially. Could be making a move. Nowhere squad electing to loot up instead. It looks like one member of Nicholas' squad, potentially about to be this full team, moving in to the building right above the brick. So not quite on it yet, but moving closer to center and finding pretty solid loot as well. Nowhere off screen, actually. I think Nowhere just picked up a key card, if I saw that correctly. That is not going to be a 300k key card. That's going to be a 3 mil key card if I saw that right. We'll have to double check. Somebody can watch that behind the scenes again and let me know how much that key card is worth. But I think that might be a 3 mil key card.
A very high valuable key card to have if you are going to be able to get it. The other thing I'm kind of looking at here, Goj, is that if you do manage to be one of these teams to sneak out the Mandlebrick.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, okay. Okay, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'll work. 3.4 mil on the key card. We take those, man. That is a big find. And again, I mean, look how much asset obtained they've gotten from this map alone. 4.2 mil in total. This would be huge. It's just got an asterisk next to it. You can't really leave because then you're trusting all of your opponents to make sure the tournament's not over because Gorilla could end the tournament if they get the Mandlebrick.
Yeah, I mean, that is kind of is the unfortunate part of it. It's like, you're like, wow, this is great. I love this, until it might not even matter at all because the team is trying to be able to go ahead and bring it on down. They do have the safe box, though, so going to be a-okay, at least if they do manage to get on out of here. If we go to another map of Space City, feeling good already, but you can even see that by the assets obtained on the left side of your screen that's going on. But so, I mean, I'm going to call that an insurance policy, Coach. That's what, to me, that is. Even if Team Gorilla, they capture this Mandlebrick, I think for Team Nowhere, this is a great way for you to kind of leapfrog your way up our leaderboard and maybe take home a lot more money than you were looking at coming into this game.
Yeah, that is a good shot. And again, I think you can put it in the safe box. I was double checking that you could do that, but it was in there already, so I assume you can. Putting it in the safe box there is a huge value add. You're going to get that pretty much no matter what. Everything else is a cherry on top. But still, patience of virtue as per the usual. However, Nicholas squad right on top. I believe that's Team Tech also in the area, if I'm reading this correctly. And that's exactly what I'm reading. Not that hard of a concept to understand, but right on top of them.
Yeah, I mean, you even hear them stomping around above you too. Like, you know that there's a squad here. I mean, I'm kind of curious, does Team Nicholas, they have a realization that Team Tech is right below them? Have they heard any audio cues while this has been going on? We'll have to wait and see. Time is ticking though. And you can start to see a couple of those decoder stations around here. You basically have two that you can go to. One up towards dorms and the other one kind of right the east of the central command building. So I'm a little bit worried though, Goj, that if you do manage to try and do one of these fast Mandlebrick captures, you have to basically fight your way through two teams on either side if you want to try and get to a decoding station either way. And that is going to be a tough task to make it happen. So I'm kind of very curious to see, do Gorillas stick to their same strategy of just, hey, wait it out, we're okay, just be last to the party and not late? Or are they going to be the team to maybe bring the aggression more in this game number 4?
Oh, well, that'll open things up. Kunji finds the angle, knocks one. All of a sudden, it's a 3v2. You got to play these trades well. You can't just sprint in. You can absolutely get styled on, but with the Saniva on your team, that knock is going to be nearly everything, because now Kunji can get into the mix with Nicholas leading the charge and say, stay down.
Oh, yeah. Good luck trying to stay alive here. Tech yet again. First team on out. You're just even going to use the grapple to pull over that player just to try and get their loot and maybe a little bit more of a safe spot, just in case any of these other teams who are around here hear this fight break on out and try to maybe rush their way on in. But great fight right there from Team Nicholas to be able to bring down Tech yet again. And I mean, I'm still just really feeling bad for Team Tech, because it feels like they want to get into these fights early on, Goj. Like, and they've looked pretty okay for the most part, right? Every single time they go on in, it just happens that they're the first team who's always getting an engagement, and then they're just losing their fight repeatedly. So, which has left them at the bottom of the leaderboard and left a team like Team J Devise to kind of play from behind and actually kind of leapfrog them.
Yeah, and I don't think they're even doing anything wrong necessarily, like you were saying. I think, honestly, it's so close. I just think they're just, unfortunately, losing team fights. It's brutal. But close nonetheless. Hopefully they can turn it around in future maps. And now everybody playing slow. Again, playing around this brick center. This is about what I thought. They're going to get to these buildings, hold these power positions, and wait for somebody else to make a move. And Dan, we're halfway through this map. That brick hasn't been touched yet, but we know basically after this halfway point usually is when people get antsy and they say, well, let's make a move. Now, I will say, as much as EU proved that, hey, if you go for it, you can close this thing out in 4, I think Team Gorilla's strategy is to say, hey, if nobody else gets the brick, that's still good for us.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you can end this map with nobody even touching that brick or even getting close, like, I mean, you're going to be feeling very good. Like you mentioned, if you are Gorilla and if you are Team Nowhere, you're also probably going to be like that, right? Like, I mean, when we kind of go ahead and look at this map and look at how these players are playing, we mentioned it. You have 2 decoding stations, basically in the northwest and northeast. Northeast one a little bit less contested, but you also have one that's directly to the west. So I'm wondering, if you are Team Gorilla or really any of these other teams, can you pick up that Mandlebrick and immediately get it to that close side decoding station and just basically play defense like we saw from some of our teams in EU? It's definitely a possibility. And look at that. That might be the idea for Team Nicholas. They go ahead, they pick up that Mandlebrick, and they are hot to trot to try and get on out of there.
Run! I like the brick on a Suniva operator too. This is a really good strategy. I'm loving how many Suniva plays we've seen already in the last 2 competitions. Because again, I think just generally speaking in pubs lobbies, when you're trying to fly around and get a little more active, most people don't use Suniva as much, and just so valuable in competition of this caliber. Being able to use it on Space City, a huge boon. Pressure taking a little bit of heat, but should be out of the pressure cooker and out over here to a decoding station potentially if they can get to one. The question is, which one do they go to? And they're going to kind of clear their way over here on the far side. There is an extraction over here as well. I don't mind this play playing up on the side of the bridge. Oh, interesting. They're actually just running away. Dan, there's not a decoding station down here.
Yeah, well, that's what I was curious about, because I'm looking like they're running south, and there's no station here south. We know that torch timer got reduced. You can see it right there, ticking down on the minimap. 3.5 minutes about is what you're sitting at. So if they don't get this into a decoder soon, it's just going to go back to the spawn. So maybe you're just looking to burn time right now if you are Team Nicholas. Is that the idea?
Yeah, I mean, maybe you burn time. I'm wondering, I mean, obviously, according to our map view, their 2 options are really the chamber on the right-hand side, where they basically were at beforehand, or they swing up all the way around the right side of the map, the east side of the map, to the top and go back to Central Command for a decode. They might just be burning the clock.
Nicholas is full sprint by himself right now, dude, and he's taking a lot of damage in the process. We're gonna have to check back in on that team when something's going on here. Other side, though, we can see Spades, AWM in hand. All right, maybe to put it to use in some way, shape, or form. As well, they're just continuing to run around the map. Not a lot of assets gained for Team Forbidden, that is for certain. Nowhere already looking fantastic. But yeah, I mean, this is just a weird map. I think that's the only thing I can say. This is just weird. This is just a weird map, I think, on everybody's side.
Yeah, the thing is, I think they're just burning the clock. At the end of 2 minutes and 20 seconds, it's just going to go back to its spawn point. But they've burned a lot of time around the mid-map, and everybody can see where it is.
Yeah.
So
nobody's going to chase you. Like, when they see you not running towards the decoder, they're just say, all right, cool, have fun. Like, because even if they got into a decoder coach, we've seen what happens. A lot of teams let it kind of tick down to the last final minute, and that's when they look to get active to try and go ahead for the steal. So it's nobody really cares that you are grabbing this Mandlebrick and is full sprinting at the bottom of the map. These other 3 teams are just going to chill out here and wait for it to pop back up.
Yeah, it's kind of like a nice play. Honestly, I think a good play for, against the side of Team Gorilla, because they really won't have time. I mean, they technically have time, but there's going to be so much chaos around this point that they won't have necessarily a ton of time to grab it, run, and go find a good decoding station. There's going to be a lot more of a sense of urgency. But again, there's this, what we call a torch timer. Essentially, the torch will be snuffed here in 1 minute and 20 seconds. And it will go back to spawn. Now, in Space City, it should go back to mid-spawn. There are a couple other spawns it could go to potentially shake things up. So maybe that's what their thought pattern is.
Definitely could be. It's an idea. I wonder if by going so far to the south, does it pull to maybe some sort of spawn that they're aware of that can go ahead and maybe that they can take advantage of? Coming out of the final minute, we'll wait and see. For Nowhere, though, they aren't too far away from Forbidden. I'm wondering, do they get a little active here? If they can take down Team Forbidden, is that going to be the opening that they're looking for to maybe try and snag this brick and get it into one of these decoders? Could be what you are looking for. Trying to just move on forward, and Sing Song, I think, getting a little antsy.
Yeah, and here we go. About 30 seconds until it respawns, and I think everybody knows that. So they're just going to kind of hang out. And everybody's going to be lying in wait to say, okay, now what? See where it goes. 20 seconds. And I mean, again, if it goes back to mid, this is a good opportunity for everybody to slow down for a brief second. But the interesting thing also about the strategy is you got to remember how hard it is to get out of Space City. Like, there's a no backpack extract, but here we go. and it goes right back to middle with 30-second timer. So Nicholas, they've burned the clock, but look who's already on it thinking, oh, I can grab it immediately. Nope, 30-second debuff. So you got 20 seconds to hang out here and wait as they look at the map and go, oh, shoot, 17 seconds. And they were just wide out in the open, ready to grab it right when it respawns. This is something, and again, we're all learning at once. And you see actually Jadavise off screen picks up Nicholas and actually trades one out. It's going to be Kunji for the team. Nicholas down one player onto red timers. Jadavise is getting Nixie, but they actually get traded. The sniper's coming in big for that Nicholas team. We've never seen this strategy on main, and it has changed everything, but the brick is able to be grabbed yet again.
Luna trying to get active, surging on forward. You're seeing the bow come out to play. You mentioned it. It's trades between Nicholas and Jadavise, and for Team Gorilla, we were waiting for it, Goat. When were they going to start getting active? It looks like now's the time. There looks like they might be trying to go for this. I'm looking. Is it the chamber on the right? Is that where they're going to try and go for this decoder? I'd love them to go top right. I mean, I know they don't have the same vision we do, but
yeah,
there's nobody on this top side of the map, and we're starting to see them run away. And for Forbidden, I think they're going to see that happen and maybe just look to play a little defense on this decoder just to make sure they're not trying to push on over to this side.
Yeah, they're making the right call. I think they're headed out to the north decoding station. It's the right play. And it's so funny. I think we saw it was Nowhere's team that was out potentially playing around the brick. There was that 30-second timer for it to be respawned, and then Team Gorilla gets there in time. Now, here's the thing. They don't actually get there in time. This is the crazy part about it. I was going to make sure that it actually was a 4-minute timer just to be safe, but it is a 4-minute timer. So what Nicholas has actually done is, you know, a legal griefing of the brick, right? It is nobody earns it. Team Gorilla can't win here. Game's over. We have a crazy amount of loot value. We want to maintain second place, and I don't want anybody to catch us. Now, Nowhere's team has obviously gained on them quite a bit at 15.4, but Team Gorilla's realizing it. Hey, guys, we've got it decoding, but it's not gonna matter. We don't have enough time on the clock. 2 minutes on the match clock, 3 minutes on the decode. Right now, it's about anybody trying to get out of the map.
Yeah, and for Nowhere, I mean, they have that, of course, that key card. We saw how much it was worth. We can see that they've attained 4.5 million assets in here, and Nicholas is 2.7 for them. Too easy. Just gonna try and go ahead, use that Alluru, clear out just a little bit, gain some ideas on anywhere these players are going, but only a minute and a half left, Coach. So if you are some of these teams, you have to start thinking about it. Are you happy with what's in your safe box right now? Do you want to try and maybe get to one of these extractions? Is it possible? You can see Nicholas, he's actually the only player, it looks like, who was able to get out of this map for the time being. So that could be what kind of shoots them on up. You play defense a little bit and maybe try and force a next Space City map to maybe have everybody rethink their strategies.
This is crazy. It's so funny. I mean, obviously, you're right. Nicholas' team does so well at least getting 1% out, I think, on almost every single map, if not every map. They get out of the heli extract. Only player to do so. Rocket doesn't take off for almost 5 minutes at this point. None of these people are getting out. So what do? Well, we're going to lose everything anyways. We got to take our fights, and Equal picks one up. Jadavise's teammate Brandon just barely, unfortunately, takes the wrong angle at the wrong time. Gets cut down. Equal plays, finding a kill. That's 300k, folks. As a reminder, you are going to lose all of your gear besides your safe box. So right now, pick up any kills to just compensate and be able to buy this amount of gear back. You want to go net even, Dan.
Yeah, no, that's really just all you need to try and do. But Equal, he finds too easy yet again, taken on out. And Nowhere just continuing just to try and rack up some of these kills where you can. Anybody else on the exit? Nowhere finds spades. Team Gorilla, they're finally wrapping their way on back here. All these shots going on out. Nowhere finding some more. Pringles finding some. Everybody doing their best to find the kills they can. A little extra 300k sprinkled around some of our teams. But what a weird Space City, my man.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. We've seen a lot of strategies in this brand new format, but that's one we haven't really seen on main stage. I believe a player and a team did this a little bit in the semifinals for the Delta Force Global League, which was all off broadcast. But honestly, a really smart play from Team Nicholas. Now, I say smart. it prevented the tournament from being over. It didn't really give them a lot of value, frankly. And frankly, I think also they were out of position because of it. Everybody knew they were on the south side of the map. Jada Vise's team was able to swing up and take one down and get some value out of that. And Nicholas' team was just on their back foot after that play. But it did prevent Team Gorilla from having enough time to get to a decoding station. Could they have grabbed the brick right when it was done with that 30-second refresh timer and immediately thrown it into the closest decoding station they could to at least have a chance? Maybe. I have to go back and look at the VOD. It'd be very, very close. But I think ultimately that kind of quote-unquote legal griefing they did with the brick keeps us playing games. We're going back to Space City here in a little bit, Dan, and it's a smart play. And the question is, will it actually pay off in the long run, I think?
Yeah, no, and I think that's a really just thing we have to keep our eye on, because if Team Nicholas was able to really just kind of jump into second with some of that play, they're the only team who has a player who's able to extract from that map, then this could be sort of some of the mind games that you're kind of talking about, the quote-unquote legal griefing, where they might be able to try and do that again in this next map, dude. Because I mean, if they can manage to make that happen, or even just capture a Mandlebrick in this next map, or the final map, you know, they're gonna be able to tie Team Gorilla, and then it all comes down to total value that's there. So we could just see some big macro strategy happening. Let's take a look back at some of these replays, dude, because we saw some great fights come on out here, but also just some great strats.
Yeah, and Team Nicholas, again, they're the only team to get a player out of this map. One player extracted out of Space City, by the way, from the helipad. A great find, a couple great kills. Obviously, Team Nicholas, the team to get the team wipe. And look at the timer here. Yeah, it wouldn't have mattered because they burned enough time on the clock, and then it wasn't an immediate pickup. Team Gorilla, they get the brick, but it doesn't end up mattering. They don't have enough time to decode it. 4 minutes, too much time on this map with only 3.5 when they pick it up. And then it was just an utter bloodbath. Equal Plays picks up a couple. Jada Vise's team picks up a couple, gets traded out. Forbidden gets traded out. Utter chaos. Sing Song, I believe, technically in Equal Plays, maybe coming out net positive in comparison to their opponents, which means likely it's going to be Nowhere Squad that's going to have a couple members probably in the running for most individual kills across the entire tournament. They were slaying out towards the end there, Dan.
Yeah, it's kind of what I love, right? Is everybody makes that same realization at the same time, that it's like, okay, none of us are extracting here. Nobody's getting on out. Give me the 300k per kill that we can go ahead and find. You see Team Gorilla at the end there. They start making their way on up. They start trying to be able to get in on part of the action, because they also realize we're not going to get this decoder. We're not getting out of here either. So maybe we can pick up a few. I think I saw one player able to snag a kill right at the very end. So we're going to go to one more Space City map. Brick still active, still going to be on the map, and it's just going to be interesting. Do we see the similar strategy, or even another team use the same strategy in grabbing that brick and just immediately running south, trying to burn that time? And now that that's happened in this game, do we start seeing some other teams maybe continue to chase and get aggro, and then try and be able to get that brick back in their hands to go to the decode and not let it get burned for as much time?
A great shout. A lot of fun strategy we've been learning across the I guess 2 tournaments that we've gone back to back with North America and Europe. Been a lot of fun, brand new strategies peeking out on main. Team Nicholas doing something different this time around, and I guess it pays off. They're the only player. They only get one player out of the map, but they're the only player to get out of the map, so they do get a decent amount of value. But those safe boxes, they were all stuffed full. I think our number is going to fluctuate a little bit on our leaderboard, with a lot of folks losing some good loot. We are going to Game 5, folks. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be right back after this short break. welcome back. Delta Force Elite Invitational North American region. And let's take a look at the leaderboard after 4. Dan, we are at least going to map 5. And shoot, things have shifted up a little bit.
Yeah, a very low earning game really across the board when you look at it, right? The most being Nowhere coming out with 4.8 million, but it still leaves them about 4 million behind Team Nicholas, who's the only team who had somebody extracted in that last game, and they're able to still get out with a plus 3.3 million to boot. I'm looking at Team Forbidden though, Goj, and well, they're 4 million behind Team It's Nowhere, and they actually lose 500k in that game. Definitely not looking great. And Team J Device, they continue their climb back with another plus 1.9 million exit, bringing it up to 7.72. Still, yet again, a little bit behind Team Forbidden, but hey, anything can happen in some of these games that are in there. So for Team Nicholas, a great map for them, right? They ended that brackish with the no brick game. They came out on top. They go into Space City. They do this great play where they just grab the Mandlebrick and sprint to the other side of the map, basically to burn the time so nobody else is going to have the time to go ahead and decode it. And well, what happens? They come out with the most value on top to boot there. So they bring us at least to game number 5. And I feel like what they're trying to do here, Go, just maybe push us all the way to game number 6, because if they can get to game 6, decode that Mandlebrick and be able to tie up Team Gorilla, if they have the more total asset value, they will actually take first place.
Yeah, I think it's a great shot. It really does feel like our top 2 teams are actually playing extremely defensive, whereas in Europe, they played extremely offensive. This defensive play, Team Gorilla, they're not worried about anything. They get out technically positive. They can go back and buy whatever loot they lost and go up about 400k, which is really nothing. But overall, didn't lose out on anything. They still have the lead. They're still in first place. If the games were to end right now for some reason, they would win $4,000. You got to remember, Nicholas's team is in that second place position, like you talked about, and would overtake them if they get the brick, a perfect breakdown. But even if that doesn't happen, Nicholas's team is also saying, hey, second place gets $2,500, whereas third gets $1,500. Worst case scenario, nobody else gets a brick the rest of this tournament, but also nobody gets out of the map and nobody has a pop-off game. We're still making quite a bit of cash. So both of our top 2 teams playing extremely defensive, but that is a lot of ifs. All of a sudden, one of these teams, especially Nowhere Squad, could absolutely pop off. Because take a look at the top of our leaderboard here. The MVP race is actually a little bit closer. Equal plays catching up to Rogue Pringle, but not quite overtaking. There's going to be Rogue Pringle still at the top there in the MVP race with 7 kills overall.
Yeah, 2 members of Team Nowhere entering our MVP race, but at the top, it's going to be Rogue Pringle from Forbidden Gaming. Just getting a single elimination in that last map, and well, we'll keep him in the lead for now. But it's been Rogue Pringle at the top all day long. I have to imagine it'll continue to be there. But looking at our maps, if you're just joining us here, folks, we're staying on Space City the rest of the day. So no more Zero Dam, no more brackish. It's all going to be about Space City. We just watched that last map, felt a little wonky. I have to imagine things are going to play a little bit different here in game number 5.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see Space City again. And now some of these teams near the bottom of the leaderboard, they're starting to look at the games that we have left. Again, maximum of 6. And thinking, okay, well, we kind of need to make a move. So I wonder if you see Team Tech continue to play hyper-aggressive and hope it pays off eventually. See Team J Device do the same. They've been playing fairly tactically in the last couple maps and slowly but surely creeping up this leaderboard with what they're getting into their safe boxes. But could you see them get a couple wipes here and try to extract and just try to leapfrog a couple teams on what could be the last map or the penultimate map? I don't know. I'll be actually kind of watching those squads while we watch the brick, because yes, Team Gorilla can end the tournament right here in 5 games, something that we've never seen before, game 5 win, but I'm actually paying attention to a lot of these other teams on the leaderboard that have basically nothing to lose because of their positions or the total loot value.
Well, let's go ahead. Let's see, what do the spawns look like? Where are some of our players? And for the time being, seems pretty spread out for the moment. Goj, we see J Device kind of be close to that Mandlebrick spawn, as is Team Gorilla. Team Tech, they're starting to move their way on in, but for Nicholas, Nowhere, and Forbidden, a couple of the squads that found themselves very close to the Mandlebrick there in game number 4, in the last squad on Space City. Well, it looks like they're on the outside. We're already starting to see some movement on in. We can see some fights break on out very, very early, and Nowhere, it looks like they're maybe okay sitting here at the top.
Yeah, and again, this is a little bit of repeat. As J Device has lost 1, like you said, there is a fight happening. Nicholas' squad pushing up on J Device's team, immediately catching them on the flank. a little bit of a repeat with Team Gorilla just taking a different building. Kind of as per the usual, teams go to the middle, take a couple buildings near center, kind of hold these positions, waiting for somebody to make a mistake. And unfortunately, it's Jade Avise's team that's made a mistake on accident, just not moving quite quick enough, and Nicholas's team flying at their opponents, picking up one in transition. Jade Avise's team likely going to be forced to push out and find a new building, probably not near center. But all of a sudden, Bungie catches the drift of a couple players running down the side. This is going to be a big moment. It looks like Team Nowhere in yellow finds an angle. Kunji thought he was safe behind that cover, but wasn't. Was a little scared of this flank likely from the player on the left, and all of a sudden Team Nicholas has been blown wide open, lose one in this trade. They may have blooded one on Jade Avise's, but they lose one from another team, and all of a sudden Sing Song hitting cleans up one, and there's a player advantage on the side of Nowhere's team. And do you go for this full, or do you refocus back to the brick as we have another fight off screen? Now on screen, Forbidden in trouble with Rogue Pringle, our top slayer, our MVP thus far, down for the count.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I wanted to come take a look at this fight because we watched a member of Team Gorilla. They actually went down first in that fight, but they're able to stabilize. They answer on back, and look who's here on the wrap. Team Gorilla, they're trying to be able to make it happen. You got one player a little bit deep as Spade's gonna go ahead, rejoin up with the teammate. Can they get Rogue Pringle back on up? Can they manage to maybe grab this body and pull on out? Spades just trying to maybe catch a peek of somebody, but for the time being, they don't want to commit to this for a good reason. You can see Looter Boy not too far away, pushing on up, is gonna have sightline of that body. Whereas Sammy and Gorilla himself, we're going to kind of play this underside. So some trades back and forth already between 4 of our squads. Just like that, Team Nicholas going to be pressure is the only one alive here is Forbidden. They only lose 1 in the process. So great shots from some of the members of Team Nowhere in order to order this one up. And look who's here at the top. January. Peekaboo. Hello.
Oh, no. That was crazy. Team Gorilla said, I feel something in the force. Spin up and shoot through the grate.
Oh, my Lord.
That's so funny. And again, this is technically a 3v2 for the side of Team Gorilla. Worth mentioning, though, we took a quick peek, very quick peek at some of the loot they're bringing in. Team Gorilla, yet again playing defensively. They're bringing in tier 3 armor. They are not spending a lot of money on their kits right now, trying to maintain a decent amount of loot value at the top, even though they also have the brick. And so the advantage, albeit player advantage on the side of Team Gorilla, Forbidden, if Team Gorilla makes one wrong move, Forbidden have a huge advantage in the gear they're bringing in. Only a couple well-placed shots, they could win this fight.
Yeah, I mean, Gorilla, they obviously realize that they are going to be the only team that can end this tournament here, right? So like you mentioned, playing very defensive is smart.
Nice.
Little tank model going into the safe box. Like a little 2.2 mil looked like.
That's big value, man. Yeah, 2.12.
2.1, yep.
That's a big tank. It takes up your entire safe box, but still nice value. A couple more red items being picked up. But yeah, in the meantime, so crazy fight over there. We only lose 1 out of it. Forbidden Gaming down 1 on yellow timer. But in the meantime, very briefly, I think Equal Play swung up. And, well, there's the trade, actually. A different team. Jade Avise has an off angle and is able to pick up 2. They line up for him. Holy, they're all there.
They're gone?
Team Gorilla is out of here. Jade Avise at the perfect angle, and they just body stack. He lines them up like bowling pins. What is happening?
I don't know if that's just like a lapse in comms or what. You know, just no shout out on where Jade Avise is. He's just laying prone and, yeah, catches the second player coming on through. First player, you know, he has opening shots. Great job. Second player, though, that's a little bit of curious. And while that fight is going on in and we see Team Gorilla get knocked on out, we see Team Nowhere. They pick up the Mandlebrick. They put it in a decoder here, Goj. So we know that we're guaranteed to go at least 1 more map here. We're guaranteed map number 6 with Team Gorilla getting deleted. But for Team Nowhere, Coach, if they can manage to walk on out of this with a Mandlebrick, that is a huge win. What's also a huge win, if maybe a squad like Team Nicholas with only 1 player alive, if they can somehow sneak this one out as well, we're starting to talk about a very different leaderboard.
Yeah, what a wild map. This one a lot more active, and that's best case scenario for Team Nowhere. It does look like it does look like Forbidden Gaming has picked up their third. They were still on yellow timer, so they're able to get all back onto the map and have a full team of 3. So although it was chaos and Nicholas loses 1, Jada Vises loses 1, there's an angle. We do have 3 teams with a full team of 3. Nowhere with the advantage on the decode currently, but 2 full teams of 3 in the area fighting each other. Good news for Nowhere's team. But I think this Rogue Pringle squad, Forbidden Gaming, know it, and they're going to back out a little bit and try to either address this fight from another angle or potentially take a peek at the Mandlebrick.
Yeah, I mean, they know probably that, hey, this team that we're trying to maybe take some shots at is on the Mandlebrick team. So do we really need to take this fight right here? Probably not. We have a bigger threat here on the map. Let's go ahead. Let's just disengage, rotate on out. Maybe manage to find their way into a different side of the map if possible. Would love to see Team Tech maybe kind of get back on into this game. If they can manage to take their fights just a little bit better in this squad, they might be able to come out on top. But look who they're running straight on into. Team J Devise laying in wait very, very patiently. If Tech isn't careful, they could yet again be one of the first squads eliminated from the map.
Nice find for January. A little 430k. Forbidden Gaming trying to get a little stat padding in before they head to the brick. Again, 4 minutes is a long time. Like, once that brick starts to code, you're like, okay, we've got plenty of time to get over there. But the advantage is always on the team with the timer active. Here's a look at it. Nowhere squad holding the angle. Sing Song doesn't miss. We've seen that time and time again. And Cynical feels the other end of his barrel. Swang is trying to find an angle. It's actually getting fried, I want to say, by those Havoc mini tanks, actually by the boss. I don't even know if that was from a real player. But damage is damage, and Nowhere's team is singing praises to the Daemon.
Just kind of backing on up, trying to play from a different angle. And the sonic paralysis is just causing so much chaos right now. But look from the other side. Swangus, he's going to slide on out. Finds too easy. Do you find Jay Devise here? Jay just doing a great job. We watched him pick up a nice 2-piece on Team Gorilla. And there you go. He slides on out. Right time for Jay Devise. He's going to cut down Swangus. Get a little bit of revenge for the teammate here. Recon Era goes up over the top to hopefully give him what he needs to see, and lines it up again on a Cynical. Jay Devise, where was this all day?
Oh no, he's out of bullets. He's on 1 HP in a dream. He's about to 3-piece one of the teams that had all 3 players alive and an opportunity to play for the brick. Jay Devise is Nowhere's hero. Team Nowhere gets the man. No, Forbidden steals it. While we're watching this fight, Forbidden goes in with 1 second remaining. What is happening on this map? Unbelievable. Jay Devise, the local anti-hero, finally getting cut down.
Wow.
Almost trades out a full team. And we thought it was a freebie for Nowhere's team. But Forbidden sneaks in there, steals it. The last second, and all of a sudden, we can take a breath because there's 3 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, Nowhere actually steal the Mandlebrick back into their favor. So yes, you reset the timer if you are Forbidden, but Nowhere, they're still going to hang on to it. And for the time being, I mean, if you can get this res off, this is huge because that means you'll only be left to full squads of 3. And for Team Tech, they've been kind of the only team that has been able to find any sort of value over here in this map. And what's interesting is that whether Forbidden's on one side, Nowhere's on the other, you just have these auto tanks that are just roaming around. They're just gonna, you know, if they start firing, that's basically a cue for Nowhere that, hey, they're starting to move. They're maybe pushing on over. They're gonna be in this area. And Nowhere's backed on up. They want to try and hold from a different angle, but Tech is starting to push on through.
What a crazy map, but it is 3 teams of 3 with this timer reset, and we have plenty of time on the clock this time around. Still 9 minutes on game clock. This could change hands multiple times. You actually see what Nowhere's strategy is right now. They're not on the brick at all. They're completely in a different building, holding the other angle, and they're actually maybe about to get flanked by Tech. And they hear the footsteps right now. They have to, right around the corner. Team Forbidden knows it. And they're going to come in and go for the brick and go for the steal just to make sure they get it. This could potentially give enough time to Tech's team to get in here and play spoiler to Nowhere Squad with this interesting strategy. They're not too worried about trading the brick back and forth. They just want to have a power position. Here's the push. Forbidden Gaming able to grab it. Lose a little health for it, but they do trade it out. And we got 2 minutes, 20 seconds on the clock.
Sliding out wide. Spades! 1 HP in a dream. He's able to find Swangus. And you actually can see Sways goes down to a vehicle bomb as well. So hopefully you can get Spades back on up quickly, just like that. But great shots coming on through. Uluru won't be able to connect just for the time being. I was going to mention this a moment ago here, Goj. Look at this. Swangus down, but this squad, PK Tech, they're running a double Uluru right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I'll talk about it in a second because this is absolutely a fight. I was going to say there's a boon to it. Can we get a trade? No!
Oh my gosh!
Sing Song is him! He not only doesn't miss his shots, but he also makes a great outplay with his movement. Able to get not only to the Mandlebricks station to re-decode this, and now it's back into their possession, but also the two-piece? Sing Song's actually him.
Yeah, I mean, for him to just completely just full sprint out like that, pop the two-piece, is exactly what you want to see. And for the time being, Sing Song, he'll sort of reset this fight right now. Get some of your consumables rocking, heal back up, play from a different angle. And it seems like they have an idea where January is on this other side. It's just like that. We have a team get eliminated. It comes down to a 3v3. These teams have been trading back and forth, like you mentioned, with that Mandlebrick on the decode. But we're getting to the time now where the reset, it's so much faster. A minute left on the clock for Nowhere. Forbidden. You have to start making your way on forward.
Oh, here we go.
And I love this. Sing Song is just camping this. But here they go. They might be able to have a nice little wrap on Equal.
Yeah, Equal is in the doorway, so they'll see him if they go past him. It'll be a true gunfight. I think the question is, do they think that Sing Song's on the brick still? This is now the third time it's exchanged hands. They may not know Sing Song is there. He could have an angle. He hasn't been there the whole time. Here we go. Equal plays Nowhere, able to play through the door. Has Sing Song shot yet? I don't know, and I don't think so. They've gone for the brick this many times, but Sing Song's there. It's a bait switch. They not only have the IQ, but we got the gunny. Sing Song with a perfect trade, baiting it out. We do lose one, though. Equal plays down. January found an off angle, but Sing Song is doing God's work on the point right now. And Spades is going to have to go for it in the next 20 seconds, but he gets traded out. Nowhere from the off angle. A perfect trade thus far, but January's not done yet. The problem is, can he even get to Sing Song in time? I don't think so. Maybe a shock arrow to dissuade him, and it makes the push, but Sing Song's there. Sing Song is him. Sing Song is everything for this Nowhere team.
Wow, what a play from Nowhere. Just managing to hold on. Sing Song with the clutch play. Just sitting on top of the decoder. They don't even gotta worry about getting taken out by the tank. I mean, just sitting on top of the decoder, dude, and just basically baiting. A great setup from Team Nowhere just to be able to take out the final members of Forbidden. That's such a tough fight if you are Forbidden, by the way. It's how do you try and work that? Because the second, you kind of mentioned it, the second they go wide to try and take out the players in the doorway, Sing Song's ready just to throw a shoulder and activate. And that's exactly what happens. Yes, you lose Equal in the process, but it still doesn't matter because Sing Song, he's in the exact spot that needed to be there. So even if you turn around, even if you try and bring the fight to Sing Song, you still had Nowhere who could have shown his face and been good for the trade. So that's a Mandlebrick now for Team Nowhere. And Goj, as we get ready to move on into map number 6 here, our last final map of the Delta Force Elite Invitational. We have two teams who are going to be battling it out hard for that second Mandlebrick because they do not want to let that come down to total value.
Man, what a fun map. And we're going to be here a little bit. I'm telling you, this auto take it may be worse than Mr. Blue Eagle from the helicopter from Brackish. They're actually insane. Got a couple knocks on the leaderboard, I think. It's about... Oh, I thought it was about to happen again. But, you know, it's so funny because we got to talk a little bit about the nuance because we're going to be here for 4 minutes, basically. They could maybe get 1 or 2 people out through some of these conditional extracts. They definitely have ID tags and could maybe get out of this map some, maybe drop a backpack as well. But they're mostly worried about just stuffing their safe boxes because, yes, they did get the Mandlebrick, but they're not the only team with the Mandlebrick, which is what we got to keep in mind. It is going to come down to loot value. Yeah, it's just nowhere playing protector. But can we talk about that play again? And I know it's going to be in the replay. Because, yeah, playing the point there is a little risky, but when it's down to the amount of teams that were left on the map, it's exactly what you want to do. But what made it so five-head, what made it so strong, was that Nowhere's team didn't do that for the first 3 times. They would cap it, go back inside, cap it, go back inside, because you can't really hold these boxes out here in a valuable way when there's 3 teams of 3 on the map still. You can get flanked very easy, you don't have a ton of cover, so we're just kind of playing the doorway, playing inside, and being willing to trade. But after 3 times of it trading hands, SingSong then finally grabs it and sticks. And when he sticks, Forbidden Gaming, he is so patient. Trigger discipline was absolutely massive there. So patient, making sure he could secure the kill, stays on that point while he had 2 teammates inside who were not out of trouble. January played the flank, found an angle, but SingSong was absolutely the hero on that point, just catching them completely unaware and frying everybody in sight. Really cool way to win that map, and technically now win it with all 3 up. Is just impressive, great plays, and just great execution.
Let's also remember, too, it's in that exact same area that we see SingSong pull off an insane 2-piece on Team Tech as well. So they basically got to that area, Goj, and they said, we're not leaving. We're not moving. Good luck. Try and get us on out of here. We are going to absolutely run this. And that is exactly what they do. So you can see Nowhere has been able to, looks like, get that Mandlebrick. You're feeling great, and now for the time being, it's just getting to these extraction points over on here. You still have 2 minutes into the map, no worries at all, and you get on out of here.
Yeah, and get one potentially out here, but I'll be curious to see if they're able to get all 3 out. They technically don't know that everybody's dead. They weren't in all of those fights, so they want to make sure. I think they can get at least, I want to say they can get at least 1 out here, if not a couple, but they're going to just make sure these extraction points aren't held by a team, or they just don't lose to AI. And oh wow, there actually is 12 seconds left on this one, so they were able to get out. I missed that timer in the top left. So nice play from them. This is a huge boon. I mean, look at the value they're getting. Look at the overall loot. I mean, this is total, right? They get a crazy amount of loot value. They have a massive game. I mean, you can see a couple of those millies there. We'll do some math behind the scenes. Great execution. Get out of the mat. Get the brick. I mean, everything went right for that team. And all of a sudden, it's going to be a race to the top and a race to the finish line, because we have 1 map left no matter what.
Whew. Yeah, this is where things get really interesting, because it's really going to come down to, can a team manage to secure the Mandlebrick? Can it be Team Nowhere or Team Gorilla? Because if either of those 2 teams are able to do it, guess what? Tournament is over. They are going to be your winners, and it's going to go by value from second down on in. But if no team is able to capture a brick here in this last game, then it will come down to total value. So we saw in the first game of Space City, Goj, it was Team Nicholas. They grabbed that Mandlebrick and they just sprint to the south just to burn enough time to make sure nobody else can decode. I kind of wonder, if you are a team like Team Nowhere, do you maybe try and employ a similar strategy to be able to make sure that you're going to end game number 6, nobody else has a Mandlebrick, and you know for sure that you have the most value for your team? A couple of different ideas to be going on through, but before we talk about game number 6, we got to go back through game number 5, man, because we saw a number of huge events like SingSong going crazy, and also J-Devise going absolutely wild.
Yeah, can I just say, there was so many highlights in this one, and this is a big moment. Team J-Devise going absolutely stupid, wiping Gorilla Squad. The team on that double brick point, so if they would have captured this brick, we were done here in map 5. But then J-Devise almost 3 pieces this whole team. Watch his ammo, 21 bullets for this last one, and right here, look at Tech's health. No, he had like maybe 20% health. J-Devise runs out of ammo, or he gets a 3-piece on Tech's team and could have gone crazy getting a res on his squad and been in this fight. But the end of the map, just as chaotic, just as crazy. SingSong was hitting every shot, winning a 1-2 punch, gets the steal, and then holds it and they have no idea he's there. And because of that, he's able to trade out one, give his team an advantage. January, obviously a great off angle, but Jan can't do it all by himself, especially not when he's low HP. And Sing Song still there, says, peekaboo, I've got you. The only person that can kill Sing Song is the boss, Des Moines, I think is how it's said. Somebody can correct me on the pronunciation as those auto tanks get a little busy. But at the end of the day, this squad not only get the brick, they get out of the map, and they get a crazy amount of loot. And I think, I'm not positive, they're going to be at the top of the leaderboard just over that Gorilla squad. Dan, a summary, a final thought before we head to break. Map 5 definitely lived up to the hype.
Yeah, Game 5 lived up to the hype, and I think Game 6 is where the rubber meets the road. Which teams have done their due diligence? Which teams have been able to have strategies where if they said, if we get to game number 6, where are we sitting? I can't wait to look at this scoreboard for a multitude of reasons after the break here, Coach, because obviously we want to see, do we see Team Nowhere at the top and usurp the throne from Team Gorillas? But the thing I'm most curious about, what is our operator situation looking like? Because you're getting down to the final moments where a lot of the heavy hitters might be taken off the board, and hopefully you and your squad, you understand how to use the operators left to you if you want to try and be the top team after this game number 6.
A great shout, folks. You're not gonna want to miss it. A buzzer beater potential going into game 6. We're back on Space City. 2 teams, if they get this brick, they're obvious champions. If no teams get the brick, it's a race between 2. And if a 3rd team gets the brick, all of a sudden it comes down to loot value, and it gets all types of crazy. Don't miss game 6, folks. We'll be right back after this short break.
Hark has brought about the dawn of a new age. But now, my friends, insatiable tumor has descended upon this land, plundering our homes, harming our families, but threatening the bright future of Asarak. For too long they have gone unchallenged, and they have infested the very core of our society. We must drive these rats out. Now is the time for change. Now is the time for judgment.
Let me detect first.
Welcome to the asylum! From madness to freedom!
Stay on high alert. Don't let Havoc's lackeys escape.
Welcome back, Delta Force Elite Invitational North American region. I'm gotta say, I can't pick a favorite between Europe and North America, Dan, but this one has been a ton of fun, and we are going to Game 6. The last map of the day, no matter what, and the stakes couldn't be higher. 2 teams on a Mandlebrick, and who knows, a third could join them in this map. What do you take of it? I mean, we're about to look at this leaderboard, and I think it's really close in loot value. So many strategies going into this last map, and I have no idea what strategy these teams will pick.
Yeah, there's really 2 strategies that we're going to see on this map, right? If you're one of the 2 teams with a Mandlebrick, you have one of 2 options. It's either play defense, make sure nobody else captures one, and ensure that you have the value that you want, which seems to be kind of what the idea for Team Nowhere might be. For Team Gorilla, it might just be all about the aggression, right? They've been kind of one of our top gunfight teams that we have seen on the map very early on. So I wonder here, are they going to be able to be a little bit more aggressive around that Mandlebrick and be able to take it on down? If you're one of these teams without a Mandlebrick though, coach, it has to be all about decoding that Mandlebrick, because you are going to need that if you want to try and come out on top with the most value added, and also just have a Mandlebrick to be considered to be at the top. But look at this, my man. 8.7 million extracted from nowhere, and that puts them almost a full 10 million above Gorilla.
Holy, what a flip of the script. I mean, I knew Team It's Nowhere had a great chance of winning this competition, but they have just leapfrogged their opponents. You've got to remember, this team not only got their safe boxes full, they got their inventories full, but they all 3 got out. We have hardly seen a single map today where all 3 players get out, let alone get a Mandlebrick on the same map and win several gunfights. They got a ton of kills. Every single one of those kills is another 300k. This number makes sense. You look over at Team Gorilla though, Jadavise wiped this squad before he even blinked twice. The whole team was dead. They didn't get a single kill, and so they dropped. You see, they technically go up 1.1 mil. It's because in the later rounds, everybody gets a little bit more match compensation, but they got 700k per person. So just base, they auto gained a lot of money, and they lost a lot of money from the kits they brought in. They've got plenty to basically go in as kitted out as they want, but with a basically 0 gain or only 1.1 million gain, that's where this giant leapfrog comes through. That's where that 8 million deficit is right here in this last map. Really fun to look at. Team Nicholas literally went negative in that one. They brought in an absolute bag of loot because they could afford to, and ended up losing a decent amount of that as well, going out pretty early. But they're still at 19.38. I mean, Nicholas squad, they get the brick here and have 2/3 of the game that Nowhere's team had in the last one. They could win this whole tournament still.
They definitely could, and I'm kind of looking at some of these operators that we have still left in the field here. And for Team Nowhere, the big thing to me, they still have a Stinger, they still have a Hat Claw, and they have that Uluru to be able to help out as well. But we got to talk about the MVP race before we get ahead of ourselves, man, because we have a new guy here on the top. It is Sing Song. After a crazy map number 5, multiple double kills we watched happen on in, and well, now sitting top at 9, but Rogue not too far away, currently sitting at 8, and Equal still up here as well with 7.
Yeah, to be very clear, by the way, Sing Song had 5 kills in that last map by himself. The team, as a total, had 7 kills across the board. Is a very big map for them. Sing Song, obviously the hero of the story in that last one. So we are, of course, headed to our final map of the day. The way this works is pretty simple. If any team's able to get 2 bricks, they win it all. Period. End of sentence. However, the maximum amount of games that we will play is 6 games. That's it. That's all she wrote. This is the last map of the day, and of course, we're back to Space City, and I gotta say, I'm excited about it. I love this map. It's got some really fun moments, and of course, that Mandlebrick decoding station was a crazy one to fight around. It also was one of the closest to the Mandlebrick. I wonder if somebody will try to run it a little bit further away this time around.
And one thing that we didn't actually get to touch on really at all is it felt like in those moments, a very small detail, but I think it's still important, is that January in that fight, even though knows that Sing Song is on top of the decoding station, basically I think it's a little bit frantic because there's that mini tank that's still rolling around. Doesn't even give him the opportunity to kind of like level set himself, right? To be able to maybe take an isolated 1v1 across 2 different players. It's just no opportunity to make that happen. So that decoding station gets a little bit wild for that reason alone. When you're in that alleyway and you have those tanks rolling around, it makes it just such a difficult place to fight around. Obviously, Team Nowhere figures it out. I'm looking at the kill feed though, Coach. Cynical already taking down Looter Boy from Team Gorilla.
What is happening right now? Team Gorilla in trouble because it looks like Tech Squad just found an off angle. This is what we talk about with Space City. You got to know. I mean, I'm sure you've played in pubs. I remember my very first time loading into Space City in my entire life playing Delta Force, and I'll come back to that because January's just wiping Team Gorilla, picking up 2. Gorilla down, Looter Boy in trouble. I think they were maybe going for the res, and I think it was Team Forbidden Gaming that were able to come out from the top ropes and wipe 2. Gorilla, all of a sudden, they've been on their heels for the last who knows how many maps in a row. It's got to be 3 at this point. Can't get anything going as Forbidden Gaming just puts the pedal to the metal, flies in and picks up 2. Where is the 3rd? Likely completely out of here, just trying to stay alive.
Yeah, and we're even looking at some of the loot they bring on in, and our producer makes a good point. Says that's a lot of red ammo on board, and I think that may go towards a little bit of what we just saw. When you look at that mini map, you can see Sammy sucks. He's the last player alive from Team Gorilla. And he's trying to rotate on out here. Maybe thinks that he's maybe found some respite from Forbidden Gaming for the time being. And it's not going to be enough, though, because look who he's about to run into. It is Team Nicholas, who's been also looking very, very good. If Team Gorilla goes down early here, Coach, this could open up the map a lot for Team Nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, can you believe that Team Gorilla, the team that is technically on double brick point, the only other team besides Nowhere Squad, is down to a solo already? That is wild. Tech Squad has got technically possession of the Mandlebrick. And it does free up from its spawn here in the next 50 seconds. 3.5 minutes. That's when you can pick it up. So they're staying patient, but are going to play around the brick. You can see Jada Vise's squad getting into the mix. Again, Dan, you got to remember, too, our pricing. Top 3 making lion's share, 4,000 for first place, 2,500 for second. Third, still 1,500. That's $500 a piece.
Yeah, I mean, Gorilla, they were poised to be that second place team, even if Nowhere, you know, plays really good and captures this Mandlebrick. They're already sitting pretty because we score it first by Mandlebrick, then by total asset value, right? So the fact that they had 1 Mandlebrick feels great. You do not want to start this last game by having 2 players eliminated. It's going to drop your chances of trying to get on out of here with a decent amount of loot or even being able to steal that Mandlebrick. It's going to be tough. But already I'm looking at that mini map here, Goj, and Team Tech.
Oh, yeah.
Already quick on the move. Mandlebrick spawns. They immediately snag it, and they are trying to get on out of here.
Hey, look, man. One thing I respect about this team, they've had a tough day today. I'm going to be honest. But this team does not care. They didn't ask about it either. They said, we're grabbing the brick immediately. I don't care how much time's on the clock. This is the second time they've done this. The first time they did it, they did get punished eventually. They had a decent power position for a while, but they just, too many teams collapsed on them. And it does look like they are running the route along the outside of the map to get to a different decoding station than we've seen in this tournament. And I think they're probably going to head up this northwestern side, potentially, of the map to the decoding station that's all the way northwest. We'll take a look at the map here in a second and just confirm that. Oh, no. Are they going back in? They were just wrapping back around. It's the same spot. No. I thought they were going to swing up to a different spot.
Did we learn nothing? Did we learn nothing from game 5? And look at this. Jada Vice is already here yet again, causing some chaos, putting some shots onto Swangus.
Oh my gosh. They haven't gotten the decode fully down yet. Okay. That timer will change. And geez, Tech finds a nice angle and picks up 1. But are you kidding me? Okay, it looks like they have the brick still on them. And no, they get cut down.
Wow. Wow.
Brandon with the angle this time. It's not just Jada Vice. It's Jada Vice's team lining them up, knocking them down. We're looking for a turkey here if we're not careful.
It's going to be a 2 versus 1 right now in this fight with one of their players on yellow timer. But the brick is on the ground. It was not put in the decoding station. The player that pushed up to the decoding station didn't actually have the brick. So Brandon's actually going to try to stick the res here since they have player advantage, while J-Devise holds the off angle and makes sure this player can't address this brick or address this revive. But it does look like Tech's final player is going to try to swing around the outside, and he hears it.
I love that reset. Just the ability to make that happen. But Brandon, he comes out here at the right moment. Yeah, the shots go on through. You're going to see Cynical. He's able to find his way back onto the inside, Goj. He knocks J-Devise, gets the full. Okay. Cynical. Kind of going huge there for the moment.
Okay. I mean, we let that happen. I feel like it happened so fast, sure. But you got to say the comms, chow, chow, chow. I think he gets out there in time, but able to close the door that fast? Get back inside. The game's still afoot for Team Tech.
2 more minutes. But this Mandlebrick is going to be on out here. If nobody picks it on up, it will go ahead and reset back to the spawn point. But if you are Team J-Devise, I think you just try and do whatever you can, get a little aggro. Maybe try and bring down Cynical and plop that thing into the decoder. Maybe a different decoder location if possible. I would love that. It looks like for now, they're just actually going to go ahead and exit out of here.
What a wild fight. I am blown away. He got away with that.
And I'm looking at the minimap here, and it looks like Tech has been able to grab the Mandlebrick.
Yeah.
Is he going to go ahead and put it in the decoders? Can he get some of these revives off? Both of his teammates are right there. They're right on the outside.
Oh, no way.
And he's a stinger, too. So it's going to make it even better.
That is, okay. This is wild. Now, I think they hear, whenever you go for that res, you're going to hear it. They do get 1 up. Stinger him get to decent health. Obviously, he's going to be bandaging up, repairing things as he can. No way. We get both of these? All of a sudden, this fight was absolutely won by Team J-Devise, and now Team Tech has maybe the advantage.
Such a good job to be able to stabilize, but when we pulled up that map view, all I did see, though, was Forbidden kind of lurking on the outside. You're starting to see them on the mini-map. Nicholas is starting to make their way on the inside as well. So we've now attracted the ire of basically a couple different teams right now. 30 seconds to get this Mandlebrick on into the decoder if you want to try and start this here and now. But maybe you are just looking to try and burn this. No, Cynical, he does make his way on over. Going to start that decode.
What an odd circumstance. Again, we've got the 1,000-foot view, right? We've got 20/20 vision, but even still, a wild fight. But we have started the decode, and this is where things get interesting. As we take a look at the rest of the map, we see a couple off-angle fights out here on the edge. Everybody now knows that the brick has started to be decoded, but also everybody knows that the team decoding it is not Gorilla or Nowhere, because they would get a ping that one of our double brick point teams would be decoding it. It's a big announcement that goes out. You see Rogue Pringle find an angle on one of Nicholas's players, so they've got an advantage here if they want to push it. They've got one player, though, playing way off into the deep end, playing their flank. So it's really a 2v1. They don't even need the help. Spades and Rogue Pringle just wipe this Nicholas squad, or at least 2/3 of it.
I mean, Nicholas' team was a squad that you had to be careful of, because if they managed to get this Mandlebrick some decent amount of loot, they'd be A-okay. But finally, Nicholas, last final player alive, he gets cleaned on up. Spades, the nice easy push on forward. So that is going to be our first full team taken off the map. And I got to give a huge shout out to Gorilla. You still got one player who's hanging on by a thread, still alive here. But for the rest of the squads, you got some that are just hanging on by a thread, and others are ready to go. Brandon, J-Devise, keeping this one alive.
Yeah, somehow, what was a 2v1 fight against a player with half his HP bar turns into a 2v2 with Forbidden Gaming coming in with a full team of 3 to play around this brick. It's
Still plenty of time on this decoding station and plenty of time left in the map. Somehow, this fight is now going to be chaos in the final moments yet again. Yeah, the question is, where's Nowhere's team? How slow are they actually playing right now? We haven't seen them on a mini-map yet. I'd love to take a quick look at the map view if we could. So we've got eyes on the brick, and nobody else does. Such a tough decoding station to hold. Gorilla's still alive, looting, potentially, Sammy. I think he's just kind of looting up before he tries to maybe make a play. I don't hate this idea. And I say looting up. They have 0 loot. He has not looted one thing. Actually going to maybe look for a snipe takedown, but even still, we're about to see the fight happening on main stage. Where is Team Nowhere?
Well, Cynical throws a little bit of a shoulder. January is going to throw those shots on out. I like this. You have view of the decoder. So make sure nobody's making their way on in, or maybe try and steal that one out from you for the time being. Swangus got to back on up, though. Cynical managed to play through these doors. Can you go ahead? Can you check it? Pringle's going to be the one to move on forward, looking to play in there. Spades, he's on the decoder. Are you going to go ahead? Are you going to check this? No, you're just going to let it go away from you. Forbidden. Got to be able to sneak on in and steal that tech. Obviously not feeling great being down a player. Do not want to try and swing that one wide on open. They're going to go ahead. You still have 8 minutes left in the map, so I kind of respect it. Just manage to hold your ground here. Maybe you can find these picks on a Forbidden and steal it back.
Yeah, the Spades actually finds Swangus on the long sight line here. Maybe going for a res. No, go for a peek. About to get chowed. Swinging through. January has the route. And Dandro, I think Route Man's going to get paid. No, wait. January gets cut down.
Wow.
What just happened?
What?
Cynical picks up January and fools him. So we swing back to it. Rogue Pringle, though, finally comes in and cleans up that mess. Wow. What a wild one. And this is what production wanted to show us. Sammy finds an angle on Brandon. All of a sudden, Jay Devise's team is down another player. Forbidden should get that res, and they do have the brick currently decoding in their favor. Jay Devise a solo. Gorilla a solo. Nowhere's team has extracted a player? What is happening?
You know what I think it is, Coach? I think it's because they were the team that took down 2 of Gorilla very early on. They know that Gorilla was the only other team that could go for a Mandlebrick. So they say, great.
Yeah.
We absolutely have just basically secured ourselves being the only other team in this lobby with a Mandlebrick. So rather than try and play risky, guess what they all need to do? Grab their loot, get on out of here, do what they can. And by getting one player out early, you basically secure that. If any of these other teams grab a Mandlebrick, they basically secure, you know, second or third with that. So it's an interesting strategy from Nowhere, but I don't hate it. It was a little bit confusing, and then I'm like, wait, no, yeah, they were the team that fought Gorilla. They know that Gorilla's on the back foot. It's that, you know, they know that even if they didn't get the full wipe, that the bodies are secure. They're not going to be able to get the res. So we're feeling pretty good.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Great shout, Dan. It took me a second to pick up on it as well. You're totally right. Picking up Gorilla's team, they feel comfortable with where they're at, especially now. They don't know this necessarily, but Nicholas' team out, that's really the only other team that can threaten them on the leaderboard. So Nowhere's team, like we mentioned right before this map, they don't have to get the brick. They just need to make sure that Sammy doesn't come in here and steal this brick and win this game.
Which, I mean, would be quite the feat if possible. I mean, I'm loosely kind of hoping for, you know, if Team J Devise can maybe answer on back on this and maybe they can sneak out a Mandlebrick here. I mean, that would be quite the jump to go from, you know, one of the bottom 2. Rough day to start from them. If they could end at least in 3rd here, that'd be quite a jump on the prize pool for them alone. But they got to get through Forbidden Gaming first if they want to make it happen. You're seeing some of those gadgets, some of those tacticals get invested. Brandon's gonna maybe use that to push on up. Lots
20
of
seconds.
footsteps being making on out, but too easy on the outside. Nice little Viren dash, keeps him safe. January not gonna be able to secure that one.
Doesn't matter though, 10 seconds. I mean, you got to just sprint at it at this point. You're just going to give it to Forbidden Gaming. 5 seconds and counting. This is a brick for Forbidden, and Nowhere doesn't care. They know it's not a team that is on double brick point. Forbidden takes it. Forbidden is the only other team to join them on the leaderboard for the Mandlebrick. Sammy knows it. Nowhere knows it. Everybody knows it. The team that just got the brick didn't have one before. So now it's a race for loot with 4 minutes on the clock. This is such an interesting moment for all of these teams. J-Devise playing for a difference between 4th, 5th, or 6th. Pricing differs between 4th and 5th. They would like to survive this and potentially get a ton of loot and jump this leaderboard. But the 3 teams at the top will stay the top 3 no matter what. The question is, in what order? We have Nowhere out with 1 member, likely loaded up with about 2.5 million. Everybody else, though, where do we go from here?
Yeah, I mean, Forbidden, you did the hard part, right? Which was grab the Mandlebrick, managed to hold it down on the decode. You did it great. Now here comes kind of the secondary objective of this map. Like you mentioned, it's get on out of here because you're going to want those assets if you want to try and beat Team Gorilla. They realize they're probably a little bit away from Team Nowhere. Probably not going to make that one happen. They could easily, with a solid map here, come on out and manage to take second. And especially, they have Team Gorilla, it seems like, in their sightline. They know that there's a player right in front of them. They're looking to get aggro on this. They're pushing on up. Can you manage to find Sammy? If you do, you kind of all but, it feels like, secure your position in second if you're going to be able to do that.
Sammy's got, fortunately, blue ammo in. It'd be a tough fight to win unless he catches someone completely unaware or they're distracted and he gets a third party couple kills. Again, every single kill is 300k and Sammy hasn't looted a single thing yet. So getting out of the map right now doesn't matter. J-Devise's squad is spotted this Forbidden Gaming team, and I gotta say, Nowhere squad is looking like they're going to be the champions of this competition. Unless Forbidden Gaming wipes them completely here, loots up their bodies, and somehow gets out, which I think at this point is impossible. Rocket levers haven't been pulled. Timer would be too long anyways. 2.5 minutes on the clock. You just got to hope the math goes your way. Forbidden Gaming, they've got to know that we need to fight everybody and we need to win every single fight.
That's going to be the start of it right now. Rogue Pringle, he's been top of the MVP leaderboard. A lot of damage to open that one on up. Unfortunately for you, it's just not a knock. Just playing alongside this top staircase. You know you got one on the outside. It's going to be a reset here. Not too easy. Casey Spades kind of playing on a little bit of an off angle. Into the final 2 minutes here. Fight starting to break on out. January's going to be the one to find Brandon on and off angle. But Nowhere's going to be around here as well. Hops on up. Both in front of you from the heavens. Finds one. Is he going to lay chase at the second? No, he's going to take the opportunity to reset. The rest of Forbidden trying to come to the side. Can you manage to help slay out the rest of this lobby? Good shots on too easy. Goes ahead. Puts him on down. Rogue Pringle gets dropped while that's happening, but it's going to be a full wipe onto Team J-Devise. Only one member of Nowhere alive. It is the captain himself. And, well, Sammy, he's still alive here as well. Some shots down on range between these players. And Sammy, he's looking to get active.
He's got to. He's got to make a play. It's going to be on the back of this sniper. If that connects, maybe there's a window of opportunity. But Sammy's a lone soldier versus a Forbidden Gaming team with momentum on their side. Sammy, unfortunately, has no chance. Forbidden Gaming rack up kill after kill after kill. And again, it's about packing these safe boxes full of anything that they can get their hands on. They could potentially, now with a wipe onto Team Gorilla, and Gorilla getting 0 value from this map, not even in their safe boxes, Team Gorilla could fall to 3rd if Forbidden Gaming is able to stack up as much loot as humanly possible in the safe box. And guess what? Nowhere's coming to play spoiler. Can he find an angle? They don't know he's here. Sees one and misses his shots to start, but he picks up one instead. Gonna get traded out and can't even get the full, unfortunately. Just barely misplayed there, not knowing that maybe the teammates could respond in time. Team Nowhere, they do get full wiped except for one, the only player to get out of this map. You can see it now, out with 2.3 million. Who knows if that's the difference maker in them winning or losing this tournament. I can guess that it's going to be pretty close. Likely Nowhere on top. But this squad, Dan, they've picked up a ton of kills, and their loot boxes are going to be a couple mil. It's going to be very, very close.
It's going to be super close, especially with that last final elimination as well, getting all of that loot that, you know, the one player from Nowhere had. Normally, you know, you're not super worried about it, but the way we got to think about it is that is a value swing away from Nowhere into the pockets of Forbidden. And when we're looking at this final moment, hey, that could be what comes down to the final, this sort of deciding factor. Because reminder, folks, We have 3 Mandlebricks that were captured through our tournament here today, which means it's only possible for one of those top 3 teams to win. And it really, with Gorilla not attaining any asset value in that game, going down super early, it's really only a battle between those last 2 final teams of Forbidden and also Nowhere.
It is so dang close. And you're right. I think, unfortunately for Gorilla, they just got mobbed way too fast in that map, couldn't respond in time. Sammy tried to make some heroic plays. I think it actually got a couple knocks throughout the course of the map with that sniper, but just couldn't piece it together because Forbidden Gaming was allowed to have all 3 players alive. You got to remember how they got there. Obviously, they won a huge fight against Nicholas's team. Frankly, the only other team that could threaten the top of the leaderboard based on the loot value that they had. Team Nicholas, they almost assuredly are getting 4th, right? They're the top looting team that doesn't have a Mandlebrick. So it's a race at the bottom and a race at the top. This leaderboard is going to be split directly in half because of these Mandlebricks. And it's a big takedown. Their main threat on the leaderboard that also doesn't have a brick out of here. They now have a chance to join the top 3 where a majority of the prize pool is. The big question was, hey, were they able to wipe enough people, enough kills on the board to jump this leaderboard enough, especially when a couple of these teams don't get out at all? And I think it was really smart, as we take a look back on these highlights, for Nowhere's team to take their 2.3 mil and get out of the map with at least 1 player. And I just don't know if it was enough to maintain the top spot, if that 2 mil really was the difference maker, or if they needed just a bit more, Dan.
Yeah, and I feel like probably they're not expecting Forbidden Gaming of all people to be the team to not only capture the Mandlebrick, but also just go on a killing spree at the end of this map. It was like, okay, you did the 70%, which was capture the Mandlebrick, go ahead, hold it down for the decode. Great, fantastic. The other 30% was fry out everyone in the lobby, and they were able to do that. A lot of kills going their way. You know, potentially almost another, I don't know, another 2 or 3 mil just given to them just for the eliminations in that last game alone. A lot to be said that was there, but some fantastic moments, and especially this for January, just kind of off the rooftop to be able to find one, and then being able to find finally Sammy and being able to wipe Gorilla. Feeling very, very good. I'm really excited for this leaderboard when we can get to it, man, because I think that NA showed us it was just a fight to the very, very, very end, especially in map number 6. That was very true.
Yeah, it's going to be so dang close. A lot of math behind the scenes as we got to double check that all of our scores are correct. We can't even, we've done this in the past where we announced the champion didn't do the scores. We can't even do that yet because it is, I think, going to be that close, or at least perceived to be that way. I'm excited to see where it lands, but I gotta tip my hat. Of course, Team Gorilla, regardless of where they land, I'm not saying they're not a top 2 team. I think likely 3rd, though. We'll see if they can surprise me. I still tip my hat to them because they really started out this tournament with a bang, Dandro. They took the early lead. They were a really strong squad. They were playing hyper defensive and overall a great day. And just the last 2 maps in particular, they've just gotten extremely unlucky with their team fights, and it's been tough to see a team that we thought was probably the best team here unfortunately just slowly but surely fall from graces. Whereas Team Nowhere, again, a team we called out at the top of the show. I'm not saying we know a ball, but let's take a look at our overall leaderboard here in just a second, folks. It is so dang close. Dan, any final thoughts here before we take a look at this one? I think the big moments for me in that last map was how well and patient, frankly, that Forbidden Gaming squad took all of their fights, slowly crept towards the point. It was very well done by them.
No, very, very well done by them. And to me, it kind of felt like the inflection point of this entire day was really that map number 4, right? Our first time here on Space City. The fact that Team Nicholas is able to steal that Mandlebrick, burn all the time on it, and not allow Team Gorilla to have any opportunity to try and go for that decode. That to me felt like it really was where the tide started to turn, because let's remember, that was also the map that Nowhere finds a huge boon to their total value, okay? So the fact that Team Gorilla don't close it in map number 4 kind of feels like it throws their whole plan awry. We see them come in map number 5, not a lot of loot value to their name that they come in with, right? So then it gets a little bit mixy. They're not able to do it, and yet again they just slip on out. It's just not enough. And then coming here to game number 6, you and I know that they wanted that map to go so much differently for them, and it wasn't going to have to be this early aggression from Team Nowhere that you know, kind of goes ahead and foils their entire plan. Yeah. So it feels like for Team Gorilla, just like you mentioned, it just felt like a slip away. Not exactly how they wanted to play it. Guaranteed at least 3rd, though. Not too bad.
Yeah, all right, folks, we've got our champions. All the scores were calculated. Let's take a look at who the winner of the Delta Force Elite Invitational North American region is. It is Team Nowhere. They've done it in the final moments. Game 5 propped them up on a pedestal. It was a T-ball hit for Game 6. Incredibly smart plays from them. Yes, get cut down, but they get one player out of the map. Team It's Nowhere are your champions of our North American region, Dandro. And again, I will remember Game 5 for a very long time. And Game 6 was just enough to put them over the top.
Yeah, Nowhere really, I think, deserve this. They really worked hard for it. It kind of comes down to a combination of not only them doing really well early on, it also came down, like you mentioned, to that Game 5 just playing absolutely lights out of their mind. And it came down to, like we said, to that final game number 6. And well, it wasn't even close, buddy.
Yeah.
Team Forbidden, I want to give them a huge credit. But look at this, dude. I mean, Team Gorilla just go down. It almost looks like had they just played that last game a little bit better, they might have actually been able to be in second. They still lose 1.5 million in that game number 6. And they're only, what, 400K total behind Team Forbidden. It's like, if they would have done anything, if Sammy managed to grab any amount of loot and just get on out of there, they actually could just be sitting in second right now.
Yeah, you know what's crazy about this as well, how close this is? I think that's actually 300K. And if you remember, every kill is 300K. And Team Forbidden actually kills Nowhere, who just tries to play spoiler at the end. Just trading out Nowhere in the final moments just won them $1,000. A single kill separated Forbidden and Team Gorilla. A single kill. If Sammy gets a cleanup on one of those snipes, if Sammy hits that final fight with that team of 3, Forbidden Gaming, and just drops and fulls one of them, it goes the other way. That's how close this competition was. Team Gorilla barely missing out on an extra 1,000. Obviously, still walking away with 1,500. It's a great day in the office. So great shout to Team Forbidden. They said, we can't leave anything on the table. We need every single kill we can get. And that mentality, with one extra kill over their opponents, won them an extra grand. Let's take a look at that pricing I'm talking about. But of course, I've got to bring our attention back to our champs winning $4,000 Nowhere. Congratulations. Very well executed. Very well done. Map 5 nearly won them the tournament by itself. An absolute banger of a map, and then they were able to close it out in style. Team Forbidden 2,500. Team Gorilla barely only 1,000 behind at 1,500. Nicholas, like I said, the race at the bottom of the leaderboard, just because they didn't have Mandlebricks, Nicholas' team fairly easily won that, albeit it was a nice late resurgence effort there from Team J Devise to push up and try to take fourth. J Devise and Team Tech down there at the bottom, is still earning a bit of cash today, Dandro. What a fun event.
No, absolutely wild to be able to have. But I got a question. Who's our MVP of the day? Ooh. Well, look who it is, usurping the throne back. He's been here mostly all day long. It is Rogue Pringle from that second place team of Forbidden Gaming with 11 spades. The teammate not too far behind by only one singular elimination. That is there. And Sing Song, who we saw go absolutely nuclear in that game 5. Well, he's going to hold down third with 9. But huge congrats to Rogue Pringle being our MVP on the day.
Well, and this really goes to show what types of teams we had. Forbidden Gaming was a slaying team. I mean, just Rogue Pringle by himself in raw kills earned 3.3 million, I think, in overall loot value for his team on the leaderboard, just in kills, nothing else included. Is a massive amount of value that he's adding to his team. And then of course Spade's right behind with another 3 mil. I mean, that's 6.3 mil just in kills from 2 of their 3 players. I mean, that is really impressive stuff. They were slaying out this lobby, really put the pedal to the metal towards the end, and they got that last brick right when it counted to join the podium and be a top 3 team, just barely eking out Gorilla. I cannot believe how close that leaderboard was. And again, Dan, it wasn't close at the top. It wasn't close for the team in first place. They had some gigantic loot value numbers, and it was, again, namely map 5 was like a 9 mil banger because they all get out, let alone getting the brick. They all get out with a crazy amount of loot and a ton of kills. I think they had 9 kills in total on that map or something crazy. So yeah, crazy stuff. Really fun stuff to watch.
Yeah, huge swing map for them. And we got to also go back to, of course, that moment at the very beginning of game number 6, right? Their only opposition is Team Gorilla going into that map, right? They're the only 2 teams with Mandlebrick, and they get both of those close spawns. And, you know, we're kind of trying to hype up some of the teams that are hanging around the Mandlebrick spawn, but we completely just see 2 members of Team Gorilla go down at the hand of Team Nowhere. And it takes us a little bit on the map for us to realize that, wait, why does Team Nowhere already have 1 person who's extracted? That's because they know that Team Gorilla is playing on the back foot. They only have 1 member alive, and for them to capture a Mandlebrick in a lobby of this caliber is going to be so difficult. So what do? They ensure, of course, they get additional value. They get 1 player on out of there because they realize that any other squad captures a Mandlebrick in this lobby, doesn't matter. They are going to win off value alone. And we saw that even at the end by them being up, you know, 10 to 11 million on total value over Forbidden that was there. So really good shout out from them to kind of have that heads up play, thinking that there's only 1 other team that's really a threat to us. We just took down 2/3 of that team. We basically just secured first. Now we just have to ensure that we don't do anything dumb at the very end, and they don't. They're able to secure that win.
No, it's a great shout, and I'm glad that we caught that eventually through that map, because it was a call by you, because you also got to remember too, sometimes I forget this when we're watching these, all of the players get a notification if one of our top teams that does have a Mandlebrick already starts decoding the Mandlebrick. So they would also be able to say, hey, we don't move for this brick at all unless we get that ping that somehow my goat Sammy gets over to the brick and steals it. Then we have to consider it, because if Sammy gets it, Gorilla gets it, they somehow win this, but we know he's a solo. So overall, extremely well executed. Really proud of this team. Go 2nd place in Delta Force Global League and then get 1st in this one. And it sounds like we're going to talk to the man, the myth, the legend himself, Nowhere, my goat, joining us here in the booth. My man, first of all, can I just say congratulations? I mean, good grief, an absolute banger of a tournament. I want you to talk to me about how you're feeling. What's the emotion right now? Obviously, 2nd place Delta Force Global League, and then you swing it back and you're able to execute, man.
The emotions are overwhelming. I mean, we played phenomenal as a team all around, equal with IGL. Sing as our main frag, me as support. Like everybody played phenomenal. There's nothing more I can say. The boys just locked in and they killed it.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and I want to kind of go to that sort of map number 5, that Space City that we had, because that was sort of the banger map for your squad. So I want to know, what are some of the emotions going through it as you guys are just holding down the fort, and especially in that last fight with Sing just playing along that decoder and them not realizing that he's just hiding in that pocket and popping on out. Talk me through, how are the comms feeling? How are you guys? Was that really the main strategy, or is that just, hey, we just did a great job of playing off the you know, kind of moves of our opponents?
Honestly, I'm gonna give that shout out to Equal. That man is a legend for IGL, and he told Sing, tuck yourself in that corner and you just hold and I'll support, and it worked out. And we were all the stuff we said we can't say here, but we were excited. I promise you that.
Dude, I can imagine. And again, I tip my hat to the strat too. Shout out to Equal Plays, dude, because the fact that you guys play the brick but don't play on that point for 3 trades in a row, and then finally you stick Sing Song there, they have no clue he's there. So genius. But talk me through map 6, because map 6, it took us a second to catch on a little bit. After you wipe 2/3 of Gorilla's team, where were your heads at? What was the strategy, so that everybody behind the scenes can kind of learn from the plays you made to secure the win?
Map 6 or map 3?
Map 6, the final map of the day, when it was like, yeah, you've already got a brick.
Yeah, so map 6, we just told ourselves we were in a great spot money-wise. Stash value was looking good. Yeah. We had the Mandlebrick. We saw the other team's stash value, and we just said, you know what? We just play to grief. We just secure where we're at, and we play to grief everybody to really take it home, and that was the play. We sent Sing out with, I think it was like 1.5 mil just to really secure that, and again, Equal just calling those plays like he does, and it worked out perfectly.
Heck yeah.
Well, and I kind of want to go mainly more to also just the day as a whole as well. Talk me through some of the prep and strategy that your team had coming on into this. Obviously, you guys are no strangers to Delta Force, right? Playing, of course, in the Global League and doing very well in it alongside it. So was this just kind of like your standard prep as usual? Did you do anything any extra to come in today? Because obviously you looked very, very good map over map, not just in the Mandlebrick rounds, but also in the airdrop rounds as well. You guys looked really, really solid too.
Well, so we actually took inspiration from our boy Zapok. If he's still watching, I know it's probably late for the EU boy. So we like to look at the VODs of them and watch the streams of them, get some ideas of what we're getting into. And then we take everything you guys give us and kind of make plays off of, where Mandlebricks spawn, eco round, stuff like that. Shout out to Soaps for coaching that. And again, Equal just doing what he does with the IGLing, Sing with the frags. Like, we just all sat in a call before we play, planned it all out, and just executed it.
Heck yeah, man. I mean, I could tell, right? Like, I think we talked a little bit after the end of the Delta Force Global League, and it was kind of this like, oh, I understand now. We need a coach. We need to get locked in. There's a lot to study, and it's very apparent you guys did your homework. So again, huge congratulations. Nowhere, I just want to give you the floor, man. Shout out anybody you want to shout out. Shout yourselves out, your team, where people can find you streaming. I know you guys grind this game like crazy, and obviously today it's paid off.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many people to thank. First of all, I got to thank my beautiful girlfriend for always supporting me and keeping me doing this. I mean, without her, I honestly wouldn't be here. So that's first. Next goes to Soaps for taking me out here and, showing me the ropes, showing me what to do, coaching us through this. And then the boys, obviously, Equal and Sing. I mean, phenomenal teammates. I call them brothers at this point. Those guys, mean the world to me in this game. And then shout out again to everyone over on my Twitch, the community. We have such a great community and huge amount of support. These guys are always cheering us on no matter what. So thank you, everybody. I mean, we're all over Twitch, Equal, Sing. It's just great. I couldn't ask for a better family. Really could.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah, dude. I love the shouts. I love the love, and proud of you guys a ton, and looking forward to another competition down the line, because you have earned your spot into the Delta Force Invitational Regional Finals to potentially earn a spot to land, which is crazy, and obviously a ton of cash. So big congrats, man. Thanks for hopping in the booth with us, and we'll see you in another broadcast, I'm sure.
Beautiful, guys. Thank you very much again, and great job, cast. You guys are some of the best. I love you guys.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it. Cheers to Nowhere and his whole team, man. They are the champions, and for good reason, Dan. They put in the work, they studied this game, and they executed on main stage. Any final words for you, Dan? What a great day at Delta Force. That was a blast.
Yeah, man, I don't think we could have really cooked up anything better, right? EU, we ended in 4 games. We saw one team just kind of absolutely dominate on execution. Over here on NA, we went all 6 to the very end, and we saw so many levels of strategy come on through. So it was really, really fun to get nice little both sides of the coin, but also more importantly, to be here alongside you, right? We don't get a chance to cast together all that often, and it was great to jump into something new, be here alongside you, and just kind of watch all these amazing players fry out all day long and be able to go from start to finish. Really, really fun day at Delta Force. Hope to be able to do it again, man. A lot of fun.
Heck yeah, dude. We loved having you in the booth. Again, if we can get some W Dandros in the chat, I will bid you farewell. And again, an absolute pleasure casting with you. That was Dandro, and I gotta say, today was a banger. Shout out to Zap, man, from the Delta Force Global League. I love that from Nowhere. Another great interview as well. The back-to-back interviews, both in our European region today for the Delta Force Elite Invitational and the North American region, were great. Action-packed games. As expected, Europe only went to 4 games and North America went to 6 games. I'm sensing a pattern here, okay? A lot going on in the Delta Force ecosystem. Esports are thriving, they're growing. You heard it from our interviewees. There's a lot going on in this community. Stay tuned in. A lot more down the line with our Delta Force Open Invitational. We've got open qualifiers coming in about a week's time. And then we've got some broadcasts for you for semifinals and then regional finals, where you'll see our winners again. And they'll have a chance to play for the grand finals, the Delta Force Invitational, all the way in China for 500K prize pool. A lot more information online. You can learn about that. But folks, as per the usual, it's the worst part of the show where 1, I have to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in. But 2, I've got to close this thing out. So thanks for being here. I'm looking forward to seeing you in another Delta Force broadcast. See you then. Here's the first fight. In the back of Nowhere. Ninja Turtle style. Oh! Advantage. They've got to play this. Can't see because of the smoke. It doesn't matter. Fire sucks Kit right there. He's really not fit for combat. Finding a cloud array. Humongous. And speaking of humongous, hey, welcome to the party.
No shots yet. Oh, here comes the shoulders. Good shots on out. Can he hold the line? Can he manage to stay?
Well, not against the proverbial actual wall. It's more about against this clock. And we see a couple is pushing the equation with only 2 players. They have 1 full down. They're going to end the fulls. And now they can push this fight and play the
manage to find one of these opening pick. You got Spades not too far away. And here you go. All 3 starting to push back. And there you see see the knock.
A nice flank here from Pressure. They knew he was there, but he just wins push though by Sineva. You better run, you better hide, and unfortunately, you might get grabbed. Those are exposed, and he's actually gonna play with the gun, but it wasn't reloaded. He didn't have it loaded in his
side. Unfortunately for him, Looter Boy has you in his sight.
On your team, that knock is going to be nearly everything, because now Kunj can get into the mix with Nicholas leading the charge in 5 minutes at this point. None of these people are getting out. So what do? Well, we're gonna lose everything. It looks like Team Nowhere in yellow. Fine. In the meantime, very briefly, I think Equal Play swung up and a different team.
Great job. We watched him pick up a nice 2-piece on Team Gorilla. And there you go. He's
5 minutes, 20 seconds on the clock.
Sliding out wide.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I'll talk about it in a second because this is absolutely a fight. I was going to say, what a fun map. And we're going to be here a little bit. I'm telling you, this auto. Oh my gosh, they haven't gotten the decode fully down yet. Okay. That timer will January in fulls him. We swing back to it. Rogue Pringle, though.
That's going to be the start of it right now. Rogue Pringle. He's been top of the MVP. In off angle, but Nowhere's going to be around here as well. Hops on up. Both.
Can he find an angle? They don't know he's here. Sees one and misses his shots to start, but he picks up one instead. Gonna get